when I went up to you and I said, so I hear you want to come back on the show. You grabbed my lapels and I saw that your pupils were the size of dinner saucers. And you said, we're doing the Boss Baby family business. And when I objected to this, you threw me back into my chair and you did 3 rails of what you described as weapons grade Xanax and screamed, Patty Pat Willie's gotta get his tasty taste of that family bee.
I'm the boss.
Yeah. And when I tried to raise one final objection to this, 2 large men appeared behind you that you referred to exclusively as Mr. Tumbles and the Foot, respectively. It was then made implicitly clear that if we did not do the Boss Baby family business, that we would have to answer to Mr. Tumbles, and I cannot stress this enough, the Foot. So my question for you, Patrick Willems, is this.
Yes, AJ.
Where do you get your goons? We have been looking for good goons for like 2 years.
I'm just going to say, I don't think you guys can afford them.
So many possible worlds, but we got this one. So many possible worlds, but we got this one.
Welcome to the Worst of All Possible Worlds, the first and only podcast that can afford goons. I'm the worst of all possible AJs.
I'm the worst of all possible Brians.
And I'm the worst of all possible Joshes. And as you've heard, joining us today, we have with us once again a fantastic filmmaker and video essayist. You may know him from his YouTube channel, which also shares his name, which is Patrick Willems.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm back.
Hello.
Welcome,
you
welcome.
are back, and you have brought us yet another Boss Baby.
Look, we had some business to take care of.
We did.
We had some unfinished business.
Yeah, I feel like the promise was made implicit after we watched the first Boss Baby. At that time, it was like,
The threat was made implicit.
Exactly.
I think, like, at least for me, and we probably talked about this on the first episode, which is mostly a blur to me.
Yeah,
honestly,
same,
a lot of the
Yeah.
first
All of our
movie is a
episodes.
blur.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because I remember vividly in, I think it was in 2020, like during lockdown, I had at the time not seen The Boss Baby.
Right.
And the trailer for the Boss Baby family business was released.
Yes.
And I'm on Twitter and it
Right,
pops up and I'm like, hit play. I have nothing else to do right now.
Sure.
And I knew the premise of the Boss Baby, and I remember the trailer for Boss Baby Family Business. Watching that without having seen the first movie was the most confusing 2 minutes of my life.
Yeah.
Correct.
At no point was I really ever all that motivated to watch the first one until this came up.
Sure.
I mean,
Right,
again,
right, right.
I was supposed to be on your Minions episode initially, and
Yeah,
I did
that's
watch
right.
Minions for it. So I just happened to end.
You and I are in agreement about Minions.
We are.
Yeah.
So I just kind of ended up in the Boss Baby episode.
Right.
But really, as far as my relationship with the Boss Baby, it's really, I'm just been like, I want to eventually understand the trailer for Boss Baby Family Business that confused me so much back in the summer of 2020.
So now you have, of course, watched the Boss Baby family business.
I sure have.
Yeah.
Do you
The
feel...
boss, the baby, his wife, and her lover.
That's exactly right, Brian. Do you feel, Patrick, that you now understand the trailer for the Boss Baby family business after having watched the film?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Honestly,
I don't think I do.
Because I don't.
Yeah.
I thought I knew the premise of the first movie without having seen it.
Right.
Then
Right.
we watched the first movie and I discovered the lore about, baby core and all of that.
Sometimes it's Baby Corp.
Yeah,
Which is
depends.
what it should be because it ends with a P, not a PS.
Watching the trailer for the second one, which just assumes you know the mythology
Oh,
and the lore.
yes.
And suddenly there's a big time jump, and the narrator has a different voice than he did in the first movie.
Yep, that's right.
And people are being de-aged and all of that. I think I may have thought there was time travel or something. Can I actually ask a really important question?
Yes.
And I chose to do no research into the first movie before asking this.
Yes.
What year is Boss Baby Family Business set in?
Very good question.
It is
because
it
the
is an
first
excellent
movie,
question.
The
There
first
is
movie
an
is
answer
set
to it.
kind of roughly in the past, right? There are a lot of like retro pieces
Yeah,
of
it
technology.
feels like the 90s.
But
No,
this
there-
movie has one flip phone belonging
Yes.
to the not boss not baby who is now neither of those things because he is an adult.
Yep.
Right.
He has a flip phone.
He's still a boss.
He has a sophisticated. Well, he's not a boss. Not the main character.
Oh, him.
Oh,
yeah.
the dad.
The not boss, not baby.
Right,
He was
right.
never a baby.
Right.
He was once a baby, but he wasn't a baby when we saw him.
Yeah,
I'm already off the deep end.
What is Tim? What is Tim?
And he has a flip phone. It's a nice flip phone with a good screen.
That's true.
But everybody else has smartphones.
Right.
With like the two lenses on them.
What sparks this question for me is there is a chase scene in like the first half hour of the movie
Right.
Yes.
in which some characters crash through a movie theater screen playing Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron.
Patrick put a pin in that. We will get back to that very specific scene a little bit later, but that does set the movie in a very particular time.
Okay. It does.
If we assume that it's a new release, which presumably it would be.
Is it? Well, also,
smartphones.
that was not.
Right.
apps.
You're
right.
Apps.
Yeah, so it's
They have
2002.
an app for
Well,
that.
but it's not 2002 because they have fucking iPads.
Why is a movie theater playing Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron?
Have you ever heard of Second Run? You know, sometimes you just gotta you put things up in the local theater because it makes a modest amount of money.
This spring, the Metrograph presents.
Look, I'm just saying, we live in a city that, maybe second only to LA, has like the best like repertory movie screening culture in the country.
Yes.
I cannot recall ever seeing Film Forum or the Metrograph or any of those places playing Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron.
I'm gonna stand up here because in my hometown, I am literally standing.
Brian is just turned into a Norman Rockwell painting.
He's doing the pose.
Yeah, I'm the guy bothering the girl on that bus. It's a different Norman Rockwell painting.
No. Just leave her alone. She
Now
just
I'm
wants to ride the
serving my
bus.
family a nice big turkey.
Ooh.
So-
Nom.
And now I'm criticizing art, but the art is criticizing me back. This is Brian Alford's Norman Rockwell corner. I'm taking my pants off for the doctor. Stop me! I can't stop. So in my small hometown of Gallup, New Mexico, they made a second one.
Ooh.
And it's better than ever.
Much like the Boss Baby family business.
That's true. It's Boss Mexico. No.
Better luck
we
next
have
time.
a single screen theater that used to be owned by the chain that owns all the theaters in New Mexico, Allen Theaters.
Okay.
They got rid of it, but then this theater was still sitting there downtown. So I think the city owns it, and they will play old children's movies.
Okay.
And they have, in fact, in the last decade, played Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron.
Then, all the rules are out the window.
Yeah.
This can be anytime, any place.
Anything can
Exactly.
happen.
We are going to dive right into just a little bit here of the history. Sort of, if you want to hear all about how the original Boss Baby was made and what that's all about, go back, check out that old episode with Patrick. But we're going to bridge the gap between Boss Baby and Boss Baby Family Business.
Yeah.
So the first Boss Baby was made for $125 million. It made back $528 million.
That was Global Take?
That was Global
and
Take.
that's just box office, right?
Right,
Yeah, that's
that's
not
just
the
box.
kind of money they're making by getting it streaming and all of that.
It's
Not
also
to mention
not
the
Minions
merchandise
money.
and all
Movies
that.
don't make that much money from streaming.
No, they make tons of money. This business works super well.
Streaming is back. But so of course Dreamworks was going to make a sequel to it. So they greenlight the second movie 2 months after the first movie's release in May of 2017. And they're planning on releasing it on March 26, 2021. And something happens between May of 2017 and March of 2021.
That's right. The election gets stolen by Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. By the devil from Delaware himself.
Delaware?
Nowhere.
I see. Because it
doesn't exist. Thank you.
Find it on a map. Patrick, can you find Delaware on a map?
No.
That's
there you
right.
go. That's exactly
Where
right.
did Caesar Rodney come from on that famous ride of his? Nowhere at all.
I see.
He emerged from the sea.
Like Avril Lavigne in that way. So we hit July of 2021 when the Boss Baby Family Business is actually released.
Oh, so release was delayed by 4 months.
Yes, it was. Originally, they were going to push it back to September. Well, because the election was stolen. Everyone was still very mad about it.
That's actually what half of the January January 6 protesters were going on about. They all had like signs.
Yeah, release
with
the boss baby. Release it now.
Can
in
someone
his
please
weird.
Photoshop this?
yes, listeners, if you're listening in,
Oh, that's a good idea.
send that in for us. But
January 6 riots about the boss baby. You have your orders.
they decide to release this simultaneously in theaters and on Peacock, NBC's streaming app, which I believe Patrick is the sole person who has a subscription to Peacock.
Yeah.
In certainly in
Half
this room.
of the population of Brooklyn is just using his password.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I would never give that away. Pay for your own Peacock. I'm not sharing.
I'm just imagining like Dan Smith will teach you guitar, but it's just Patrick
Willems will share his
who shares
Peacock with you.
Peacock password. Let's get that Photoshop too while we're at it.
Also, can I briefly defend Peacock here?
You may.
please.
You may.
They're
Yeah,
beautiful
yes.
birds.
Yeah, well,
Horribly ill-tempered.
very violent.
They have Columbo.
Sure.
They do
They
have Columbo.
The reason I initially got it, 30 Rock, just to
Yeah,
rewatch
oh,
that.
sure.
Yeah.
They also have Poker Face, the only original show on there that I've
I
watched.
thought that was a Hulu show.
Nope.
Okay.
You can watch it on Hulu. The thing is, all the apps kind of like converge on Hulu.
Yeah, I forgot my sister's password to
Hulu,
so
which
I
is
don't
also
have it.
owned by Disney.
Correct.
Yes, but it's
And at
not
some point-
Disney Plus.
Right, and at some point they're just gonna fold it into Disney Plus.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Disney
Make it
Plus is
one
doing
app.
channels now. They're gonna start charging for a Fox channel.
They're
and a
gonna
Disney channel.
change its name to just Plus or some shit. Yeah.
So you can get Max, you can get Plus, you can get Cock.
We sure can.
That's the all Mike Bartlett streaming platform.
Oh dear God!
That's a joke for two people.
It's a joke for the
Brian.
theater people.
so mad at you.
It's a joke for at least 3 people if you know the play.
I'm not one of these people.
No,
So obviously, this means that Boss Baby Family Business does not do so great at the box office.
it's not a box baby.
No, but it was also made for significantly less money than the first one. Like a lot of 3D animated sequels, DreamWorks is now following.
What was the budget?
Yeah.
85 million this time, as
You can
opposed to
tell.
125.
You can really tell.
Yeah.
Like, and we'll talk a bit about this in a bit, but visually, I found, as we talked about in the episode about original Boss Baby, there is some charming stuff about that animation, from at least from time to time. Sure.
Yeah.
Boss Baby Family Business, on the other hand, looks cheap pretty much throughout.
The first movie has a lot more of the like fantasy sequences
Yes.
where the animation style changes.
Yeah.
And it has a lot more stuff set at babycore.
Yes.
Which has its own aesthetic and is like very complicated visually.
And is specific. Also, there are specific rules about how Baby Corp looks in the first movie.
Yeah.
Yes,
Core.
but Family Business is largely set in the regular reality.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I mean, it's consistent with how the regular reality looks in the first movie. It just isn't veering off into like
Yes.
the visual flights of fancy.
And a lot of the things when you get to like more elaborate scenes like the pageant at the end, it feels suddenly like you're watching an expensive TV show, but a TV show.
Yeah.
Instead of a movie.
Yeah.
Well, it is funny looking at this because you compare like Pixar sequels, you compare like Toy Story sequels, and it's like, oh damn, look how like the hairs on that dog have evolved from like one movie to the next.
Lens simulation.
Exactly.
lighting,
Well,
yeah.
it's kind of the same thing with all the Illumination movies too. Like there's like a noticeable downgrade in animation style between the first Minions and the second and the Rise of Gru.
I will take your word for it.
Plus, it becomes very disrespectful to those who died in the Challenger explosion.
For the last time,
It's true. It's true.
it's
That's what
not
they did.
modeled off the Challenger explosion.
Are you talking Rise of Gru?
Okay, no.
Yeah.
In the original Minions,
I've seen it.
Yeah, the explosion in the sky at the end. These two
Much like-
jabronis think that is specifically referencing the Challenger
It's not
explosion.
referencing the
It is
Challenger
referencing the
explosion.
Challenger.
Is any sky explosion referencing the Challenger explosion?
No, but
that
this one is.
No, it's just a rocket exploding. It's not the Challenger.
That's why they keep talking about the O-rings before it happens.
Oh my God! We can't litigate this again. We simply cannot.
I will never cease litigating this.
But it is so interesting, to look at this movie, to look at a DreamWorks picture, right? Once upon a time, that meant something, but now
It kind of meant something.
But now, it actually looks like they are trying to now imitate the Illumination style of animation.
Every few years, it seems, at least like DreamWorks Animation, makes a deal with some other studio. And like there was a period where like Fox was releasing DreamWorks animated movies, and it just changes. And it's just weird because like they're supposed to be like a rival to Illumination.
Yeah.
But now the same studio is releasing both the movies.
We don't have rivals anymore because, again, this industry is going great.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. And you know what? It turns out great art, like the Boss Baby family business.
That's right, AJ.
And we
Two
also
boss,
want to
two
talk.
baby.
Yeah, we also want to talk a little bit about that casting change.
So
Where's Toby?
where is he?
Where is he?
Toby,
Where has he gone?
lad?
Yeah, Tobey Maguire was the narrator as the adult version of the main character kid, neither boss nor baby, just child who is normal.
The protagonist of the film.
His
Yes.
name is either Tim or Ted, and there is no way to tell which one of those it is.
It's Tim. Teddy is the boss.
I see.
Tim is
It-
the kid.
Yeah, Ted is the boss.
Yeah,
baby. This is-
AJ.
I'm sorry.
This just because you blew it doesn't mean that we should mislead our listeners.
Wow.
We all paid attention
Yeah.
and watched this movie in rapt attention.
We
Yeah.
sat our
yeah.
white asses down and listened.
Yeah. Goddamn right we did.
So the TV show, of course, had some different casting because that always happens with a TV show. You're not going to get Alec Baldwin back for that kind of paltry money unless you're Lorne Michaels for some
But
reason.
you are going to get Alec Baldwin back for the Boss Baby family business.
Oh, you have to, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole premise that they built these movies off of was like, hey kids, don't you love Glengarry Glen Ross?
Right.
But anyway, they have replaced
the kids did answer, yes, we do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
They sure did.
To the tune of $500 million.
So they have replaced Tobey Maguire for some unspecified, mysterious reason with James Marsden. Maybe because
Yes.
they just wanted a better singer for this, because he does sing in this.
I think that
And
might
he's a very
be
good singer.
I mean, I don't know. Toby might have just said no. Was it a particularly busy year for Toby?
Toby's
Patrick, do you
an
know?
unpredictable man.
No, the thing is, these days, Toby doesn't act if he doesn't want to.
Sure.
Right, sure.
It's like I can genuinely, like, straight up, in the past, I'm thinking like 6 years, I can name 2 movies that Toby is in.
There was Boss Baby.
You did the Spider-Man
Spider-Man No
mashup
Way
movie.
Home,
Where
Yeah.
they emptied a dump truck of money into his front yard.
Babylon, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Babylon was
That's
a
right, he was in
TV
Babylon.
show. Wasn't that a TV show?
Not what you're thinking. You're thinking,
No.
no, this is the Damien Chazelle movie.
Oh, right.
Yeah, where Toby shows up in, a weird role at the end. Also, I fully got mixed up for a second because I forgot. Have you guys seen Molly's Game?
No.
Yeah, because there's a character based on Tobey
him.
Maguire. in
Michael
Molly's Game.
Cera plays Tobey Maguire with a different name. And I just, in my head, I was like, yeah, Toby's in Molly's Game. And like, no, someone plays Toby in
That
Molly's
would have
Game.
been brilliant casting.
It would. I mean,
James-
I think Michael Cera's very good in that movie.
But James Marsden.
It's the thing where like, I like Tobey Maguire. He also is not a guy who with a really like big energetic voice.
Yeah.
He's got kind of like a meek little quiet voice, which is kind of like has been his advantage for most of his
Yeah.
career.
Right.
And he's like the little kid from the Ice Storm. He's Peter Parker.
Yeah.
He's like the dorky Peter Parker. And it's one thing if he's just going to narrate the movie and have like a little bit of voiceover narration.
Yeah.
But I cannot imagine Tobey Maguire being the lead in this movie and having to sing and shout constantly because this movie is manic.
Yes, it is. And the interesting thing about this movie as compared to the original is that you're exactly right. Like Tim is the center of this film. It's no longer the titular boss baby who is, driving the action here. It's James Marsden.
To quote Stephen Tobolowsky in that Community episode, who's the boss? Everyone? Because who is the boss of the boss baby anymore?
Indeed.
Is it Amy Sedaris?
It might be Amy Sedaris.
No, she's not the boss. None of them are the boss.
Look, we're going to get into
They're employee babies.
the lore of this.
Yeah.
It is okay. So I mean, I want to be very clear. I'm not a person who's like pedantically nitpicks things in movies. What I'm about to bring up is not actually an issue in the movie.
Okay.
But it is a thing that I did wonder about. So in Boss Baby 1,
yeah.
Yes.
Tobey Maguire is the present day is the grown up main character
Yes.
in the
Yeah.
present, like looking back and talking about
He is
this.
relating the story to his child in sort of a tall tale fashion.
Exactly.
His child who may or may not be a boss.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then Tim in the movie as a child is voiced by a child, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. As a kid, yeah.
Yes. In this movie, when Tim when adult Tim is de-aged to become basically the age he was in the first movie, he is still James Marsden.
To be clear, the same age that he was in the retelling, the story
first,
within the story of the first film.
Yeah.
The non-boss, non-baby, yet still child.
That's right, Brian. This is going to get so confusing.
Yeah. So and then he goes to a school and hangs out with children.
Yes. With his adult voice.
With an adult voice.
Which is recognized as his own adult voice because he still will like call down from upstairs and being like, oh, I'm just going to go out,
also call
honey.
on the phone.
Right. And later she runs back into him and does not recognize that same voice as her husband's voice, which we'll get into more details about that later. But
So basically what I'm hearing is they're playing a little fast and loose with the rules here.
Yes.
Well, the baseline rules of this universe are a little strange.
It's fine to do if your movie isn't full of fucking rules.
That's true.
Yeah. This movie is, I think, while this movie is stranger than the first one in some ways, which we'll get into, and I have thoughts about. I do kind of appreciate that it is a little less rigorous about the rules than the first one, because the first one is like, here is how babycore works. Here's all these rules. Here's our rivalry with puppies, and there's like meters and like and cuteness levels and all these things.
Right.
And this movie largely stays away from babycore and is more like, there's a bad guy who's gonna do a thing and we gotta stop him. And it's mostly just that.
It is a lot more straightforward than the first one. That being said, Patrick, I gave you some grief about picking this as a topic, but it turns out that this movie is actually a perfect topic for the worst of all possible worlds.
Yeah, it's about a subject we have covered before.
Surprise!
Education reform.
It is actually about the conservative project in America in a way
on the side of the project.
and it is a piece of conservative media that is being voiced by someone who claims to be like a leading voice in liberal media, Alec Baldwin himself.
Okay, you've got to explain this because I don't know much about the conservative project.
We will get there.
We'll get there in a bit.
Yeah.
We'll get there in a bit. I think we should start at the beginning.
Do we need any more background on this film?
No. I'm good to go.
How much? What was the box office for this movie then? Because it was pretty poor, right? Because it was early 2021.
Yeah, so it only made 146.8 million at the box office.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, but they greenlit a third one, so they have full
and there's lots of
confidence in this brand.
merchandise and books and all of that. Okay.
Yeah.
So the Boss Baby family business kicks off with some nice voiceover narration from Tim. Again, that's James Marsden here.
Yes.
Hey, time is a funny thing.
Yeah,
sure. Am
is.
I right? Am I right, everybody?
Yeah.
Time's funny.
Tim Boss and Teddy Boss are now no longer Boss Baby and Child. They are Boss Adults too. They're two adults, but one is also not a boss.
Well, Tim's not a boss. Tim's a stay-at-home dad.
He's a Hieronymus boss, really, when you think about it. That's actually how you pronounce it in Flemish Dutch. But he is a
Titus Welliver is going to beat the shit out of you.
He is a stay-at-home father.
Yeah.
He is a dad of two girls, but he still has the face of a 4-year-old child.
He sure does.
The faces on both of these brothers are so fucked up.
Yeah, we got to talk about the fucked up faces. Because first of all, the thing about this movie is that none of the voices match any of the character designs at all.
No.
I mean, his wife.
Oh yeah, okay,
a bit.
yeah, but she has like what 6 lines in the movie, maybe.
Yeah, his wife Ava Longoria. Yes.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
I mean, she kind of looks in the movie like she does in real life.
Yeah.
But everyone else,
Because they don't have to match her to her infant self, which they didn't have to do for these characters either.
They certainly
did
didn't.
the little match cuts.
Maybe Amy Sedaris maybe gets away with it a little bit, but Amy Sedaris plays the voice of Tim's daughter.
Yeah,
in
more
this.
like Baby Sedaris.
Because it turns out that while he
Nice.
did, of course, have a brother who was a boss baby and is now an adult boss,
Yes.
he has a daughter who is also a boss baby.
That's right.
Also, Tim's imagination, which was so out of control when he was a toddler, because that's how toddlers are, is out of control as an adult because this man has mental issues.
Yeah,
he is a Walter Mitty type.
Yes.
Who imagines things in fantasy sequences that are full of 2-dimensional assets, which I now understand are because they halved the budget of this movie.
So this is sort of a question for everyone. You know,
Yes.
we talked a fair bit about those sequences in the original Boss Baby. Very imaginative, very fun. So I think. Okay. Well, look, I don't know.
I mean, they're more fun than this.
That's what I'm
these are
saying,
not
right?
fun.
It's like this is trying to pull off sort of the whimsy that they were able to find in those sequences in the original, but it just feels fucking weird. Why is that?
I think mostly it's because they treat them as an afterthought. Like, it was a main pillar of the first movie. They're like, hey, remember the imagination sequences? Don't worry about it. We're moving the fuck on. We have some charter school shit to get to.
But it's also like the imagination sequences like tied directly into what the premise of the movie was, because it's like this kid has an active imagination. You can see how he's imagining that his his
brother is a boss.
is like a boss.
Right. Imagine, if you will, a baby is a boss.
But in this movie, the fantasy stuff is just kind of like a personality quirk, and it's like, no, this is just like this is just the rules of it. Like, this is facts. This is how it works. We all accept it.
I guess because his daughter, his eldest daughter, Tabitha is
Tabitha Boss.
Yes. No,
but she is not a boss.
The baby's first name is Boss, but then it stopped being Boss when he became Teddy. So it's like it's a moniker that then is ripped from you, and you have to choose a new name.
But then his daughter, the other daughter, not Tabitha, the one who is a boss baby, is named Tina. Her name is not Boss.
Yeah. So.
There's no metaphor anymore. The way the first movie was all built around a metaphor.
There's also a lot of hay made about their feminine middle names in the first movie, and I'm disappointed that Tim did not give his daughters masculine middle names.
Yeah, that would have been a good bet.
Yeah.
Well, there's like a Brian Fuller show or something.
Yeah.
But I want to pull us back in here and just specifically focus on these kids real quick, right?
Right.
Because we've got Tabitha, who is, again, Tim's older daughter.
Yeah.
She's, maybe she's 7, I think, 8, somewhere in there.
It's really hard to tell with these character designs.
Yeah.
And also considering that she's doing like quantum physics in school.
Yeah, she has the voice of like a 14-year-old. But yeah, she is an overachiever. She has instead of having a poster of Jonathan Taylor Thomas above her bed, she has a poster of the periodic table of the elements that she's been working to memorize.
She has a pair of Ruth Bader Ginsburg slippers.
Missed that.
Yeah, she does.
I didn't understand what the slippers were. Oh my god.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So the movie, like, that's the weird thing. It's like, okay, that sets me up to be like, this is going to be like a girl boss baby movie. You know, we're going to see like the girl bossing all over the place.
Called The Girl Boss Baby?
That's so much better.
Good title.
It's
Great
so
title.
good. That'll be the third one. But, it is, my whole thing is like, so Tina and Tabitha just didn't have a boss baby phase. Like, they got through it all fine.
Well, no, Tina's a boss baby.
Tina's currently
though.
a boss baby.
I know, but
Well,
like Tabitha isn't in on it. Like, it's not like,
like there was none of that dynamic. They just get along well, and then it turns out, Tina's a boss.
She's
baby.
also a boss on the side. Yeah,
Tabitha is just too focused on her studies.
That's
and
right,
She does not
Brian.
want to spend time with her
right.
parents.
I mean, so can I just say, like, the thing that is strangest to me about this movie is because the first movie is very much about the experience of being a child, and then a baby sibling comes along, and they get all the attention now, and it feels weird. This is a movie entirely about being an adult from the perspective of a parent, and it's about, rekindling your like friendship with your adult sibling when your lives have grown apart, and connecting with your children.
Right.
Yeah, and also trying to date your daughter. Yeah.
Of course. but I'm like, this is a children's movie, and it's only aimed at their parents.
It's so odd.
What is this is a movie about how time is relentless and it defeats us all, and all love will end in some way.
Which they make explicit. Like, there's lines where there's like, time never stops, but sometimes you can pause it. And it's like, what? This is who is this for? Who is this for?
It's like, I'm imagining like some parents taking their kids, and the kids being confused. Although that said, this movie got an A cinema score, so I guess kids loved it.
Okay.
But I had this image of like kids being confused and not being interested, while like some 40-year-old dad is like silently crying.
Yes.
He's like, I haven't talked to my brother in years.
Well, because
he's so busy with work.
Dad is Jordan Peterson.
This is my brother. This is the emotional crux of this film, right? That Tim, our protagonist, he is desperate to, first of all, reconnect with his older daughter, Tabitha, because she's sort of aged out of the imagination demo. She's not willing to like.
She doesn't want to sing
anymore.
songs and hear stories. She just wants to learn from books and listen to white noise on her.
And she wants to become a
AirPods.
success daughter because she is emulating the path of her uncle Ted, who, of course, as we will remember, was the original boss baby.
And it's important to note that she is not a boss baby. Her younger sister is a boss baby. And yet, despite being a boss baby, her younger sister does not seem to have the business ambition that she does.
Right.
No, because boss babies are just spies, not bosses.
Yeah, they go out of their way to critique the first movie, too, because it's Tim giving his daughter a bedtime story. And he's like, well, you liked the story about your Uncle Ted, right? And, and she's like, well, it didn't really make a lot of sense. And he's like, well, at least the jokes were good. And she went, And the thing is that it reminds me, Conan O'Brien was just on Hot Ones, and if you haven't watched it, go fucking watch it. It's a masterclass. But he has a bit where it's like, what's the worst thing a guest can do on a talk show? And he said the worst thing they can do is tell the audience that it's going badly. And so when I watch this movie and it opens with, the first movie really sucked, I mean, it sets me up to be like, well, then this one's also gonna fucking suck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not even a real critique of the movie. There's nothing specific about it. It's just like, oh, don't tell me that story that was the movie you just made. It's a bad story. It's self-deprecation purely to flatter yourself. They're like, ha ha. They acknowledge that there are flaws in the things that they do as humans.
And it certainly doesn't help that, compared to the first movie, the jokes and internal logic and continuity of this film are so much worse.
Yeah, we got Toy Story. Toy Story's back. The Wizard. Remember everyone's favorite character from the first one?
Okay.
The Ian McKellen Wizard?
Can we talk about this? What did the Wizard do in the first movie? I don't remember.
He talked to Tim. He was like a figment of Tim's imagination.
He was in the first movie?
Yeah. The Wizard was in the first movie.
It's Tim's alarm clock.
Yeah, that gives him like a pep talk midway through that your parents will love you again or something.
But in the first movie, is it his imagination? Because in this, it is just alive.
Yeah, it's
a real
fully
wizard.
alive and has been living in the attic and has its arm ripped off at some point.
And replaced with He-Man's arm.
Yeah, that's a bit later on when he's fixed.
Yeah. And also, there is, what is the name of that little toy phone with the face on it?
The Skinamarink.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Skinamarink phone. Now, that's all it's ever going to be. The classic old-timey phone that has wheels.
Because it's also in Toy Story.
Yes.
Yeah. That is an old-ass toy. That's like a toy that Play School or somebody has been making since it was made out of balsa wood.
I know that it's a real-life toy, but it's very strange to watch this DreamWorks animated movie where a character from Toy Story is in the movie.
Well, I think that the difference here, too, and I noticed this with the He-Man shit as well, is that I don't think it's the actual thing. I think it's something that they have created and modeled to look similar enough that that it's the thing while being legally distinct from it. Like, they did not license the actual toy in the way that Toy Story licensed the actual toys for their movie.
It does look just like it.
It's very, very similar.
It's incredibly similar. And here's the thing. I think my main pitch to improve this movie would be to make the Wizard the big bad. If you want to talk about the march of time and being abandoned and left behind, that makes the most sense to me.
Why does this 35-year-old man have all of the toys from when he was 4 years old in his attic? He moved those out of his parents' house. Or no, he's still living in his parents' house. He moved his parents out of their house.
He took over his parents' house.
This man grabbed Lisa Kudrow by the fucking lapels and threw her out the door.
Jimmy Kimmel just got to walk out the door. Lisa Kudrow had to be thrown.
Tim's Wizard alarm clock, which in the rules of this movie is very much real and very much alive, is sort of giving him a pep talk about his need to reconnect with his daughter? Question mark?
Yeah.
This is Tim's McGee.
That's right.
Where Tim is the me.
Why is a grown-ass man talking to his childhood alarm clock?
Because he has an active imagination.
But I was the next thing is there something actually mentally wrong with him? Because it seems like there is.
But it's the weird thing because there is a visual language for when he goes into fantasy, when he's imagining stuff.
Yeah.
There is not that here. This is this is presented as just the hard, cold reality of he has a living wizard alarm clock, which is why I was watching it and I was like, when did that come to life?
Yeah,
like at what point did babies use like magic or whatever to give it like sentience?
Well, because the very next thing that happens too is that we find out that the whole like walking, talking baby thing is also real.
And also perceptible by adults.
Yes.
Right? I always thought this was Polar Express rules, right? Only the kids hear the bell.
Sure.
And a Tom Hanks animatronic bursts through the door and tries to eat
Completely dead-eyed.
And those are the rules in the first movie.
Yeah. Well, it is. I feel like we talked about this a bit in the first movie because remember, it's based on a book.
Right.
And the book is just a very simple premise about, how and it's
a
all
baby
just
takes over your life.
Yeah, you get
it's pure metaphor.
Right.
It's like he's a boss. And then the thing about the movie is it's like, well, if this is going to sustain a feature-length film
and a franchise.
Yeah.
Exactly. It can't just be all his imagination. There has to be the larger lore of Babycore.
Right.
But what I keep coming back to is like, I understand the first movie made $500 million. You greenlight a sequel. Great. I get it. And also the first movie, as needlessly convoluted as it is based on a fundamental concept that children can relate to and understand.
Yeah.
And so I'm just thinking, okay, like what is their thought process about the premise for this movie? Because you don't have to jump ahead 30 years and say this is about adult men.
Right.
Yeah.
Counterpoint to you, Patrick. There's a pony in this movie.
There is.
Oh, but what's that? What's that?
Oh, God.
What's that sound?
Ooh, yeah.
AJ's Horse Corner.
Why does the pony have an ass tattoo? Why does the pony have a sub-collar? Why does the pony have the hair of a human woman?
Yeah.
You know what? No. I'm not playing your games, movie. You set the honey trap, but this Papa Bear has enough sticky honey to last him through the winter.
Oh, come on. What?
So thanks, but no thanks.
Okay.
This has been AJ's Horse Corner.
Ooh, yeah.
AJ's Horse Corner.
How often does that come up?
Horse Corner?
Yeah.
More often than you'd think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
AJ,
What's
you
up?
talk so much about horses. You fixate on them every time they appear in a movie or a radio drama that we listen to.
Are you a horse boy?
Well,
Well-
evidently not, because you don't know what brands are or collars for horses. Things that just sort of like exist.
Did you ever have a horse?
No. No, I did not have a
It's
horse.
a mane, AJ. Show horses have often very ornate manes.
Yeah, but this one specifically seems styled like a human woman.
It did. And I'm going to give
But
it
it
to you
has
on
a
this
brand.
one.
This is just a brand. You brand the horse. You do it on the tuchus.
I do want to talk about the horse briefly here because this horse.
I don't have
heart tattoo.
I don't have a Josh's horse corner.
Oh no!
It's a cutie mark, AJ. It's a cutie mark. You find it.
That's an
when you
ass
find out that
tattoo.
friendship is magic, you get one that is unique to you.
It's not a My Little Pony. It's a real pony.
Whose little pony is it then, AJ? Whose little ponies are they? Who are these little ponies coming down?
So I will say this.
Sorry, Patrick.
We're so sorry.
Don't worry about it.
The horse is,
Not as sorry as we're gonna be.
the horse was a present that was given to Tabitha, the older daughter, by her uncle Ted, formerly the boss
by
baby.
the former boss baby, now boss adult.
That's right.
Yes.
boss brother,
And the reason that we need
boss
to
uncle.
the reason we need to establish
Boss Nos.
the existence
I understood that.
Hey, this is a super bomb bad movie.
Yeah.
That's right, Brian. So the reason that we need to establish this horse is that it's going to come back in a later way. Like
It's gonna come back a lot.
this horse is going to pay off later on. So
it's
just
like Jar Jar of this movie. That's the key to the whole thing.
But I'm with you, AJ, that this horse was unnecessarily humanoid in terms of its features. It was unnecessarily sexy.
It's a mini horse, right?
It seemed to be
No,
a
it's a
little-
pony. They do specify it's a pony and not a
Okay.
mini horse. Even though ponies
It's like
are
a
just
mini
small
pony. I
horses.
don't know.
Ponies
Yeah.
are small horses, yes.
Yeah. Up until last night, I thought and legitimately thought that ponies were baby horses, and no, that's a foal.
No, no,
Yeah, very
and
different
or a
things.
colt.
But so I want to pull us now sort of to the big inciting moment here, right?
Yeah.
Because Tim, after hanging out with his alarm clock friend in the attic,
As you do.
goes
The non-boss, former non-baby, now adult.
That's right,
Yes.
Brian. Goes down to Tina's room, Tina being his younger daughter.
Yes,
Yes.
the boss baby, but not the first boss baby, the new baby that is now a boss.
That's right,
Yes.
Brian. And discovers that, lo and behold, his child, his small baby child, wears one of those boss suits, can talk, and is employed by Baby Corp.
She is Amy Sedaris.
Yes.
And I think we really missed an opportunity for him to have twin babies that are Amy and David Sedaris.
That's a really funny
And you
idea.
have one that just goes on very long diatribes about minor inconveniences.
But so this is my note here, right? And this is just a brief conversation that I'd like us to sort of tie a bow on.
Yeah.
This scene, everything about this scene, contradicts the built reality and framing device
Absolutely.
of the original Boss Baby.
Yeah.
It demolishes canon.
Yes.
None of this makes sense anymore. No longer is Baby Corp and the false world of the Boss Baby and
Right.
all that part of Tim's imagination or a tall tale being told to his daughter. This is just the stated facts of the world.
Yeah, because this is supposed to be following, again, not just Polar Express rules, but also Kids Next Door rules, right?
Codename Kids Next Door?
Yeah, Codename Kids
Yeah.
Next Door, right? You get to like age 12 or 13, and then your memory of being a child spy, because again, these are just spies,
Right.
it gets erased. You grow up and you forget about those things. But no, he remembers this perfectly.
But doesn't this seem to happen when Ted comes over? And when Tim is like, hey, my kid is a boss baby, and he's like, what are you talking
Ted
about?
has no idea.
Yeah, Ted has no
Ted has
memory.
forgotten
the
being a
boss
boss baby.
former baby, now boss adult, has no memory of being either boss or baby.
But Tim remembers everything.
So
Yes.
wait.
Okay, so yes.
Is the only way to really interpret this then is that once again, this is all Tim's imagination. This is all his strange fantasy. And his only way of processing how do I reconnect with my daughter.
Right, so this entire thing is just a fever dream,
Yes,
basically.
exactly.
about going
Yeah.
to your daughter's recital.
Because and
So,
that,
so Tim died in the opening sequence. And this is all just him in a
pretty
coma.
much.
Yeah.
Or he's like, I don't know. I really wish there was a part where he just like got like knocked unconscious at the beginning, or there was like
Yeah.
a car accident, and then at the end of the movie, he like it's like a Wizard of Oz thing.
yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
Or Total Recall fade to white. Maybe it all was simulated, maybe not. Yeah.
Right, because again, what I just keep coming back to is like if they just wanted another adventure with like the Boss Baby and the Boss Baby's older brother.
They just have him tell another story.
Yeah, just be like, and then this happened
Yeah.
like a year later.
Or get a
Yeah.
third sibling. Like, you know, there's always there's more places you can take it and keep them as children and not as child-faced grown-ups. And for some reason, they obscure the boss former baby, now brother boss adult.
Yeah.
They obscure his face for like the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
they show his face.
Right.
Yeah, who
and
cares?
and then he looks like a cherubic adult man.
And you know,
Horrifying.
and you know what? And you know what? We haven't even talked about the worst part of the animation of this movie, which is the characters' tongues are the worst tongues I've ever seen. They are so creepy and uncanny.
It's like Sergeant Hatred when he gets hit with the shrink ray and it just shrinks his
Well,
tongue.
and they are constantly licking things too, so it becomes
A lot of
nausea-inducing
licking.
at some
Yeah.
point.
They seem detached from their bodies. But here's actually the thing. The reason why they couldn't do any of that is because at the end of the first Boss Baby, we will remember, it ends with the reveal of Amy Sedaris's girl boss baby
Yes.
ripping off and revealing her suit.
That's
so they
right.
kind of wrote themselves into a corner. They
Yeah.
had to deal with the daughter being a boss baby.
Why would they do that?
Because they don't do it with the TV show. With the TV show, they're like, yeah, no, we're just back to them being kids.
Yeah, they retcon it entirely. And also, if you think the animation in this movie is not as good as the first one, check out the TV show. Oh,
Absolutely
boy.
not.
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare to watch.
Could it just be a thing about like it's still set in the same time period as the first movie where the boss baby goes to daycare and then just deals with the other kids there?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking like Lion King 1.5, where we just do like a
haven't
mid
seen
quill
that movie.
Okay, you should. It's fun.
Sort of like Rosencrantz and
No.
Guildenstern are dead.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, but Lion King. So you know.
Oh.
Let's talk now about how we drop ourselves back into the world of the babies, right? It's entering the world of the babies. It's like entering the world of the hat.
Are you saying how did they get to Baby Corp?
That's exactly exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay, well,
because
put on your headphones because I've got the clip.
Suck it, Ted. I beg your pardon? You suck. No, Tim, you suck.
Time to go buy a Christmas tree.
But we already have a Christmas tree.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
Suck it. Out of my face.
Excuse me. I hate to interrupt, but may I make a suggestion? Why don't you both suck it?
horrible.
That's how you get to baby heaven, by the way.
This, at that point in the movie, was right there when Amy Sedaris says, "Why don't you both suck it?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would give anything to just be a fly on the wall in like the Dreamworks offices.
Yeah.
When they're deciding, do we do this?
Yeah.
Because you know that exchange had at least one conversation.
Absolutely.
behind it.
Yeah.
This movie seems actually obsessed with getting Amy Sedaris to say, let's just say vaguely sexual things. Why don't you both suck it? The amount of times that she says daddy in this movie is unconscionable.
It's a spiritual successor to Strangers with Candy.
Isn't it, there's one part where she just repeats like daddy, 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 daddy. Yeah.
We all watched that in a room together, actually, right before we recorded. And
Because I showed up not having finished the movie.
But it was really lovely because here's the thing. Patrick's like, well, let's not talk about anything while we're watching the movie. Let's just all, so we can save it all for the podcast.
We just had to watch the last 20 minutes of the Boss Baby Family Business in complete silence.
There is nothing more unsettling than watching the last 20 minutes of this movie in complete silence. It is like I felt like I was watching a sex scene with my parents.
I don't know what you're talking about. I had a great time. I was moved. I laughed. There's a
like we're on
banger
a
of a
list
song.
now.
It's one of the best movies I've seen in years.
But just to pull it back to what's actually going on with this suck it
with the
exchange.
suck it nonsense.
So
It's a pacifier.
at this point, yes. At this
we
point,
should clarify.
Assuming the listeners probably have not watched this movie.
I would imagine 95% of them have not. Yes. So
Makes this clip a little weirder.
I'm coming.
Come on.
Yeah, so,
As
anyway.
we will recall from the original Boss Baby, the way that you get to Baby Corp, which is where all the babies work, all of the boss's baby, you get there by sucking.
Where they work because they are employees.
That's right, not bosses.
Right.
Oddly.
And they have not been born yet. If you work at Baby Corps, unless you are born and you're sent there on like a mission privately, but it's like
But
you're
then
not
they're
fully
there
born.
in like semi astral projected mode where they have weird chromatic aberrations around them.
because the pacifiers that you suck on will take you sort of in an astral projecting way into Baby Corp, right? So that's what's happening here is that Ted...
Never sucked on anything that has done this for me.
Ted
I've tried.
and Tim have now gone to Baby Corp and they're sort of seeing what is happening and like what the threat is basically that the babies are currently having to deal with.
Also, on the way to being astral projected, the boss, former baby, now adult brother baby, boss, brother boss, not baby, not baby, not the baby, not the mama, Ted, Alec Baldwin. He has, again, as we said, he has completely forgotten the boss baby thing. And now he remembers it. We had about 30 seconds of him not remembering being a boss baby, and now he fully remembers every event of the original movie and presumably the TV show.
There's a lot of that where they'll set up a conflict and then resolve it like within minutes.
Yeah.
It's immediately gone. There's a lot to do.
What is this? The finale of the Fallout TV show on Amazon Prime?
Wow.
Get their asses. But
how can you say something so controversial
and yet so
brave?
We get to the crisis center, right, of Baby Corp, and this is where we see for the first time
The Crisis Pregnancy Center, one might say.
That's wrong, Brian. And this is where we see the character of, I don't remember what the character's name actually is. It's Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum is, he runs a school or a number of schools, a chain of schools around the world called the Acorn Center. And it is optimizing babies to take over the world.
Yeah. Also, the older daughter, the non-boss daughter,
Tabitha,
she goes to an Acorn school.
Children to take over the world.
The younger the better, though.
Yeah.
Because again, like this is a
Actually, I don't
baby-centric.
think that children are supposed to take over the world because later on, when the babies are like, okay, we know what to do, and they start marching, all the kids who are not babies are like, what?
That's true.
Yeah. I feel like it mostly seems to be a plan to take down the adults.
Yes. Taking
And
down.
then all young people, can kind of do whatever they want.
I've got a little bit of Jeff Goldblum explaining what these schools are supposed to do.
Sure.
Yes, babies are going to run the world one day. And that day is coming sooner than you think. Hello, my name is Dr. Erwin Armstrong, founder of the Acorn Center for Advanced Childhood.
That's Tabitha's school.
Here at the center, we believe babies are the ultimate learning machines. Isn't that right, little Nathan?
Yeah!
Okay. They should use that precious time to develop faster, push harder. Parents, they have the best intentions, of course, but they're not experts. After all, the only thing holding your child back is you.
You!
This explains why Tabitha's been pulling away from me. It's the school.
Because of
Bye,
woke.
Mommy. Bye, Daddy. Sayonara.
That's right, parents. Those dang schools, they're going to woke your children and fill them with vaccines.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that the first movie, I remember us talking about how it was vaguely conservative. There were allusions to it, but it kind of danced kind of away from that. This one, the mask kind of fully slips off, and we get this thing of like, your children hate you because the schools are telling them to hate you.
Yeah.
This is made a little bit more explicit when we get like more backstory on Jeff Goldblum. But I'd like to take a moment to talk about Jeff Goldblum's performance in this, because he is such an idiosyncratic performer, right?
Yes.
He has a very specific way that he's goes about
developed his
delivering
own way of
lines.
talking.
Yes. But the thing is, with his performance, like, you have to kind of animate to his voice.
Oh, you sure do.
And it was so
They do not.
clear.
They sure don't.
It was so clear the animators did this whole thing. And Jeff Goldblum like came in on a Sunday, recorded this, blew this out in like maybe 3 hours, and then it was gone, and they never saw him
the
again.
thing is, too, if you listen, because I was just now really listening to it.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty fun performance if you're into what Jeff Goldblum does, of course. But yes, the fact that his choices don't match the character design or animation at all makes it a very strange experience watching his whole like thing.
Because he's so bouncy and bright, and it's like
It
he's
should be
animated.
like Jim Carrey's voice coming out of that body.
Yeah, he's animated like he's shouting, but he's doing the Jeff, the
mumbling.
hey,
I got
yeah.
Or you could do like a Wallace Shawn type
Well,
thing.
there is, I mean,
Yeah.
not to jump to the very last scene of the movie,
Yeah.
but there's a part where in silhouette, they kind of like Jeff Goldblum's character's father is there. And I was like, this is the perfect time for him to be played by Wallace Shawn. Come on. Well, because also just like the silhouette of him like kind of looks like Wallace Shawn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, weirdly, he's dressed like Gru.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know you're a knitwear fan yourself, Patrick, but like
true.
he's got the sweater under the blazer. He's not as hunched over necessarily, but like his casual wear is Gru.
And
for some reason.
he is like a turtleneck wearing bald man with like skinny arms and legs.
Yeah.
Very like a lot of Gru energy there.
I think maybe that might have just been shorthand to be like to make
No, his hands are quite long, actually.
Yeah.
His hands are very long. Remember, he has to use his hand to open that door. You can see it's a long hand.
I'm defeated.
Yeah.
I'm
Once
vanquished.
more.
Never. I've been owned so often on this podcast lately. But also, Patrick, thank you for your help in converting me to being a Southern Baptist. That was very kind of you.
It was my pleasure.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about that moment up until I heard it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that moment. That definitely
That
happened."
moment in AJ's life,
In
many
AJ's
years
life.
ago.
Yeah.
Pivotal.
You took me
turning point.
aside on the set of Night of the Coconut and whispered that in my ear. That was
I sure did.
How did you get a recording of that, Brian?
Oh, well, I steal a lot of things from YouTubers.
So we get.
They don't pay attention. I just walk in, and they're like, they're so informal,
Yeah.
Patrick, lock the Nebula office. Brian is coming.
Oh no, my key to it is in my pocket.
Oh no!
Or
Not
is it?
anymore. but yeah, Amy Sedaris drives this point home even further as to what the evil plan of the wicked charter schools is, and that's a little mixed up. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll get there.
In the past 6 months, these schools have been popping up all over the world.
So what's the problem?
This school is the problem.
Yeah, school is evil.
No, Daddy, not all schools are evil. Just is this one.
Okay.
If Armstrong's philosophy keeps spreading, it could be the end of childhood.
These dang schools.
God damn it.
Well,
They're taking childhood from our children.
The school thing is funny because the movie partly seems like it's kind of about like, oh, don't, like it's coming out against parents who are like pushing their kids too hard and trying to, like the, make my baby listen to Mozart so he'll become a genius, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sure, yeah, let children discover their own interests or whatever.
Right.
But it really comes down hard against schools.
They don't know what they want the school to be, because once our boys become child and baby once more.
Yes. Well, we have to say the scheme now. They have to infiltrate the school, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole plan. And
Because again, they're spies. They are not bosses.
Right. So they're given a magic formula that has been made by Baby Core.
It only lasts for 48 hours. This is a very important point.
But it will allow them to become, I guess, just arbitrarily whatever age they want based on how much they drink.
Because they don't both become babies. They just go back to where they were in the first movie.
Does it like revert their age a set number of years? Is it like we're gonna undo it like 30 years?
I don't know. It seems to be
nebulous.
like if you take like the more you drink, the younger you get. It seems to be.
Right. And so they're fighting, all these old disputes that the brothers have are coming up again. Boy, it would have been fun to maybe get some hint as to those disputes perhaps earlier, but no, we got to litigate them now. And this scene ends with them reverting back to their young ages, and we see a baby get his nipples twisted.
Yeah, they both become nude. I was
fighting with each other as teenagers. They could do the titty twister there. That's a teenage boy
I was
thing.
watching this shit on public transportation, and it made me feel very uncomfortable.
No, genuinely, I was like, I screamed no. My roommate thought like something was legitimately wrong. Came out, and then he said, AJ, I hate what Boss Baby is doing to you.
But it gets worse is the thing, because at the end of this, like there's an extended action sequence where they're running around, they're yelling at each other, they drink the formula, they become babies.
Yeah,
well,
also,
a baby and a child.
I wrote down everything that was on the side of the bottle if you would like to know
it had side
every
effects?
single side effect.
I mean, not
See,
particularly,
this is the
but I
problem.
have a feeling you're going to do it anyway.
Warning,
so let's
this
hear
product
it.
may cause drooling, insomnia, babbling, emotional outbursts, sensitive gums, fits of laughter, loss of bowel control, sudden desire to play peekaboo, pacifier jealousy, wobbly knees, dimples, involuntary burping, voluntary burping, narcolepsy, the urge to eat things that are not food, chunky knee, tiny hands, hairlessness, and ticklishness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I was watching it on my phone, and that screen was too small to notice that.
And you know what's fun? Is that Alec Baldwin
AJ didn't even pause it.
No,
Just read it in real time.
I read it in real time. But also, like, Alec Baldwin then reads one of, like, the side effects that isn't on the bottle.
Oh, no. Come on.
0 stars, like continuity error.
Ding. IMDb trivia page. So this is the thing, though, is like as bad as that is, it gets so much worse in the next moment because at the end of this sequence, again, they're both nude. Then the baby Tina sees her father and uncle's dick.
Fully.
We see the nude boss, former baby, former adult, now baby again. He is fully nude, and then the boss baby, who is the current baby, who has never been an adult,
Right.
boss or baby,
Right.
Yes.
is now looking at his hangus.
At the hangus of the dad. They both like move to cover up their genitals. Although actually, I think Tim is wearing underwear. There's just this moment here.
Yeah, it's reverse Hulk pants.
It
They
made me-
shrink with you.
It made me feel very uncomfortable that the moment was this child is now seeing her dad, question mark maybe, but certainly uncle's baby penises.
But they love the nude babies. That's what the audience wants. It's these old ladies who all collect Hummel figurines, and they just want to see baby ass.
A baby butt is kind of funny, but I don't want the thing about the baby penis in there. I just don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Guys, I'm not going to lie. I did not think at all about the baby penises.
Okay.
And I'm a little bit worried about how much you've all thought about these baby penises.
Either way, now they have to like pretend that the brothers as adults have left in the boss, former baby, former current adult, now current baby once more's helicopter that
Thank
had
God
landed
they
to
still
come
have
in.
their original voices.
And they still have the voices, and they have
Otherwise,
to pretend.
how would we know who they are?
Yeah, they have to pretend they're not in the house. So the boss, actual baby, the new baby, the younger daughter, has to create a bunch of distractions by misbehaving. Because, hey, kids, isn't it fun to play with scissors? Isn't it fun to do that thing that baby in that movie is doing by playing with scissors?
Oh my God, that's right.
The thing that I'm realizing now is this movie just kind of a weird version of 17 again?
Yeah.
About what if you could revert back to a younger age and then go to high school, go to school with your kid?
Yeah. I mean, basically, it's just, in 17 again, he doesn't try to actively date his kid. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's Back to the Future.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down when we got to the song sequence. Like, this is Back to the Future territory in reverse.
At this point, we now know the stakes. We know about Jeff Goldblum's horrible baby school. Child Tim has a nightmare in which the events of the film so far become twisted and perverted into each other, which is sort of like how last night I had a nightmare about partnering up with Taylor Swift at an immersive theater experience with life and death stakes, and that is your specific fault, you two motherfuckers, right now.
Yeah,
Ryan
I bet
and
she's
AJ.
not very good at puzzles.
Probably not. What they do here is they crack a plan that has them going to school for reasons, but they miss the bus, and this kicks off an extended and extremely confusing action sequence where the horse takes them to school instead.
Yes.
They end up in a coffee cup, a large oversized coffee cup.
They end up in the coffee cup from the Leave It to Beaver episode.
Yeah.
Yes. They're just riding in a one-horse open sleigh, I suppose.
Because it's around Christmas
He's
time.
also late.
Do you know that Boss Baby Family Business is secretly a Christmas movie?
That surprised me.
That's your next video.
It's December. It is snowy. They are getting ready for Christmas, and he ends up oversleeping, which is why they have to do this horse situation, because he did not set the wizard clock to daylight savings in December.
Is that what it was?
Yes, he said I forgot to set him for daylight savings.
That's what it is.
What the fuck?
I'm so.
They're also in sailor suits. That can't be stressed enough.
Another thing is that the boss daughter threatens boss adult because he has this big golden statue due to the things he accomplished against the puppies in the first movie.
Yep. Right.
Yeah.
She says, if you don't do this, we will melt down your statue into participation trophies.
Oh, I got him. Oh,
Get their asses!
If the wizard is really his best friend, the wizard should have known when to set the alarm.
Absolutely.
The wizard can control this.
Yeah,
presumably.
And
Yeah.
also, he can put the wizard to sleep whenever he wants by hitting the snooze button. And I think one of the only good pieces of animation in this whole thing, the wizard just passes the fuck out.
Yeah.
But they go on this chase sequence, and they burst through a movie theater at one point, which is playing a different Hans Zimmer scored film.
Yep.
Also made by DreamWorks Animation.
There is
Back
one.
in that brief period where when DreamWorks was like hot on the scene,
The Prince of Egypt.
they're making 2D animated
Sinbad.
movies.
Yeah.
Well, they made
wrote-
Sinbad, and then they're like, no more 2D
Okay,
ever
we can't
again.
do this. Yeah, fuck this.
The Road to El Dorado, lest we forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
It's
burst.
tough to be a god.
It is.
Good horses in that movie too. But they burst, they burst through the walls of the cinema, and there's one pervert in the audience going, "Yes, spirits down to the Cimarron," and that pervert was
me.
you.
Also wearing 3D glasses, it looked like.
Yeah.
That movie was not released in 3D.
It sure wasn't. It sure wasn't. But I know I was wearing 3D glasses. Oh my God, what's that? What's that sound?
Oh, not again. Not
Thunder
again.
down.
AJ's Real Horse Corner.
What?
Spirit stallion of the Cimarron. More like spirit in my mouth.
Come on, dude.
You tube-nosed land dragon. Your hooves match your mane. I didn't even notice. Though I guess that's common for Kiger Mustangs, you know. The breed of horse that you are. Oh, what's that? Your movie is actually a haunting look at the atrocities of manifest destiny that makes the topic accessible for kids without shying away from hard truths about the American West? Ooh. I love it when you talk dirty.
Oh my God.
Say James Cromwell's in it, you dirty little Katzenberg slut. Oh, yeah. You know what I like. Spirit my stallion till I come her on my chest.
No.
This has been AJ's Horse Corner. Ooh, yeah.
AJ's Real Horse Corner.
swear
Guys, I'm really sorry, but I have to leave now.
I understand. If you want to get some hits in, go right ahead.
I don't think it's good for me to be publicly associated with.
So they arrive
this
at
is
the school.
me every week. Yeah.
So they arrive at the school, and they immediately.
Well, no. Hold on. Before they arrive at the school.
Oh, they do the snowball. You want to talk about snowball?
I want to talk about a couple things. First of all, I want to talk about the fact that the horse sucks on the boss baby's face at one point. I just hated that, and I needed to note that. Point two, I was watching this with a friend of mine, and we were just
on the subway.
No, well, so I watched,
now former friend.
I watched the first 20 minutes of it on the subway. Then I got back home, and then a friend came over, and we watched the rest of it. And there is a point at which there are 3 police officers who are the grown-up versions of the babies from the first Boss Baby.
Yes.
And they turn on their flashers, and at this point, my friend just said, "No, you're not pulling over a coffee cup." And
We should also mention that other baby from the first movie is also in this one.
Yes.
I can't remember his name or what he's doing now in this, but he's there.
the mayor.
Yeah, all those other babies who
They're all authority
had
figures now.
questionable boss status, right?
Yeah,
Were they
one of them ate
bosses? Were they
cookies.
not?
Yeah, one of them ate cookies.
Are now also present as adults. Also, that's the last I think you see of the triplets for the rest of this movie.
yeah.
They're all
they come in-
professionally
they come
doing
in at the
much
end.
better than Tim.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The movie also on the escape from the house and everything engages in a couple more fun activities for kids. Like, hey kids, wouldn't it be fun to put your baby brother in a dresser drawer? Hey kids, wouldn't it be fun to climb into the laundry chute and drop down to the bottom floor of the house?
I mean, it looked kind of fun.
It looked pretty
That's
fun.
the thing. It looks like a lot of fun, just like playing with scissors.
Yeah, these are good things you should definitely put in a children's movie for that exact reason.
Well, also, as we know, this movie is aimed at like people in their mid-30s and 40s.
This is not for the kids. This is strictly for the adults.
Hey
Yeah.
kids,
absolutely not.
Wouldn't it be fun to climb into any kind of a dresser that locks, or perhaps even a refrigerator?
I mean, it is kind of surprising that like legal let all of this get passed, right?
Wouldn't
Like,
it be fun to put that grocery bag over your head?
It was the pandemic. People, the legal was going through a hard time.
I'm enjoying that Brian is in full "won't somebody please think of the children" mode.
Because someone really should. Because this is
this
whole
a
movie.
potential tort.
Yeah, this whole movie is about like how the wokes are gonna groom your children into becoming smart.
Yeah.
And
Too smart.
and
Too
so
smart.
The antidote to that is like going through your dad's box of old toys and finding the Burger King Pokemon release Pokeballs and putting it on your face.
Yeah.
And this whole
Remember, they were very dangerous.
They were
Children
very
did die.
dangerous.
They had to recall them. But this whole sequence ends. This whole sequence of them like going to the school while the horse pulls them. It ends with a
I don't like
bomb
that phrase.
going off in the city.
Yes.
A bomb.
Yeah. There's a mushroom
There's
cloud.
a
at one
mushroom
point.
cloud.
Yeah.
This
What
bomb.
was
This
Did I miss something?
No, this
what was
is the prequel
going
to
on with the
Fallout. This
fucking
is the
bomb?
prequel to the Amazon Fallout
This,
series.
Okay.
to be clear, looks nothing like the explosion of the Challenger
It
shuttle.
certainly does not.
No, it doesn't. Nor does the other one. So we get to a point where they arrive at the school and then they mob children for their clothes.
Yep.
But they also pay the money.
But they pay them money and then
Yes.
also give them cool sailor
Yeah, they
suits.
Agent 47 the children in a bush. It's great.
yeah. It seemed at first like they did beat them up and steal their clothing, and then we see the kids walking away.
They're
with,
not
with
beat up at
cash.
all.
They couldn't
Yeah.
commit to the bit. The bit is because
You lure the children
boss
with the
baby
money
is
to
dropping
beat
money
them.
behind him.
That's what Legal was focused on.
Right.
Legal was like, they can't steal these clothes from these
Right.
kids.
I was honestly thinking for a second, they're like, oh wow, these characters became cooler.
Yeah.
They're just
Right?
beating up little kids.
That was a funny scene. That
It
was,
was
like an
funny.
actual
It
because
was
like
one
you
of the few
don't
good laughs.
It was a very like Mike Ehrmantraut scene in Better Call Saul. Where you're like, what exactly is he
Why is he
doing
dropping
right
money?
now? Why
Yeah.
is he doing that? And then you see it all come together, and then you're like, haha, and then they subvert it by not injuring children.
So
Yeah.
they get in wearing the school uniforms. They've got these big acorn hats on, and they've got these brooches, and the brooches light up with a color that designates which class you're in, question mark.
which just seems to be a designation based on age.
Seems to be.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
And this is where
what would
yeah.
have happened if Tim had not switched them back and he would just be with babies all day?
Yeah. He would just open the door very easily because the whole reason is like they can't reach the handle. So
Right.
like, I mean, you know.
And this is where the movie's messaging on schooling becomes very odd and very incoherent in in these very obviously like conservative ways, because the daughter's class that now Tim is going to is full of very competitive children who are all way too smart. It's very elite school. It's like, oh, you don't even know who fucking Tycho Brahe is or whatever.
There's like an ongoing like real-time ranking of every student in the class based on how many questions they're getting right, and kids can get negative points and be like being the
children
red.
are being stack ranked against each other, and the school's motto is that all competition is good competition, which is at this point I put the note, actually this is not about woke. This is about capitalism and how forcing the logic of capitalism on children is bad.
But also, who is the teacher?
Jeff Goldblum.
But is he? Because what's actually in that classroom? It's a Zoom class!
It's a Zoom class.
Yeah, fuck, you're right, God damn it.
Yeah. I will say, while I was watching this, I was like, considering that the movie establishes, like, at great length, how Tim is just a, like, loosey-goosey, use your imagination kind of dad, why is he sending his daughter to this school?
Because a school that he presumably has never thought about before?
Right, and this is clearly the kind of school that, like, you've got to apply to. There's a whole, like, rigorous application process.
No, this is fucking Horace Mann or Riverdale or whatever.
Right. Also, he's never taken his daughters to school.
And he always does. We see him do it.
Yeah, so why is he like, this is the building? It's like, you're here every day.
Presumably. I mean, there is a school bus, so normally I guess they just take the school bus. But yes, you would think being a stay-at-home dad that he would be regularly picking up and dropping off the kids, right?
Yeah. It's like how every conflict in children's movies or movies about parents with kids is always like, oh, I got to get my big client done so I can't go to the baseball game.
Right.
This guy has no clients. He has no projects. He's got nothing.
He has no job.
His job is the kids.
Yeah, it seems like it should be the kind of school where like it looks really nice to the like on the outside, like it looks like a really like nurturing environment, and the kids go there, and then it becomes like,
and then it has the
Matilda.
choking.
It's just Miss Trunchbull's Academy.
They do have their weird Zen version of the chokey.
Yes, they do.
From Matilda.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, but it's the woke chokey.
Yeah, the
wokey.
And then,
look, honestly, I'm just always happy to hear Enya in a movie.
Sure.
Yeah, truly.
Whenever I hear Enya, I just want to get in my boat and
sail away.
Yeah.
So what we see here about this school and like the nature of how it is structured, right? We've mentioned that for the older children, there's a stack ranking mechanism. They are doing competitive capitalism for the kids. However, there is a softness to it. This is sort of an effete liberal like approach, or so it seems.
And when you see how the babies are getting taught,
right,
the baby class is a giant padded room for all these little participation trophy snowflakes, where they just stick crayons up their nose and touch things the whole time. No teacher present, no learning present, no speaking or singing or stacking blocks or doing any kind of spatial reasoning. It's just we're just going hands off.
No
man.
order is being
We're letting
enforced
these kids make their own mistakes, man.
Yeah, and one of the babies is the worm from Beetlejuice.
Yes.
Yeah, we got to talk about that baby.
I keep curious.
This one character with a totally different animation style from everything else.
I don't have coherent thoughts. Just
one
baby is, as AG put it, the worm from Beetlejuice. It's just she's the scary kid. It's not like this is full of weird kids where like, you know, it's like
there are other weird kids, but they're weird in a totally different way.
One just likes glue.
This just has a different look to it.
Yeah.
She vanishes and appears in shots like she's a jump scare baby.
Although Amy Sedaris, boss baby, daughter baby, boss, also does just vanish and reappear in places.
It's like a special skill that some kids logic.
have.
Right. Well, she's just super agile. A thing I was wondering about is just like, it's funny because babies are famously not well coordinated.
Yes.
And again, this is not even really a complaint. I'm just like, the babies are just like young people in this world are the most coordinated human beings that exist.
Yeah.
The way during like chase scenes, they are able to dodge through things as if they are like Jackie Chan at his peak.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There's like a point where the boss daughter, I think this might even be during that chase again, where she takes those little like shark face grabber things that you get and pulls on the handbrake to stop the car. She's just in like this one fluid motion, which also, hey kids, wouldn't it be fun to pull the handbrake on the car while mommy's driving?
I will say, Brian, the more you do this, the more I become like pro this movie. Because I'm like, you know what? It's teaching kids to be little badasses.
It's telling children to give in to the intrusive thoughts that will kill their entire family on the winding mountain road that she does it on.
Within the classroom that Tim has been hanging out at, we're seeing that Tabitha is actually really good at school. Like she's at the top of the stack ranking, right?
And she's also nice.
Yes.
Which is not the case for everyone there.
Right.
Yeah, non-boss daughter cannot recognize her non-boss father's voice.
Right.
It is, I cannot stress this enough, the same voice.
Yeah. So we have these sequences where we're going back and forth between Run DMC's It's Tricky and Enya's Orinoco Flow playing in the background. Again,
this all checks out.
For kids.
Describing this movie feels like I'm having a stroke.
I know.
Alec Baldwin ends up in a meeting with Jeff Goldblum.
Ted escapes by like putting Elmer's glue on himself and like can stick to surfaces.
He has a beard of like fuzz of things
he
that
has
stick
like
to
a
him
5
with
o'clock
glue.
shadow from like falling on a carpet.
But why?
And also Tim,
Why not?
Tim ends up getting a mustache that he draws on himself with marker to become a bad kid so he can go to the principal's office, but then they put him in the Wokey instead.
Right.
So they're doing the same joke with both kids, but not like in a way that acknowledges it.
Right.
It's
Or in a
just
way that
like,
makes any sense.
just like, you know, it's funny when a kid has facial hair.
The Wokey, by the way, just because we did mention that, as Brian was saying, that is where the Enya plays. It is a pod that you just sort of stay in, and there are soothing, relaxing visions that project on the walls.
Yeah, it's like a sunset on a beach.
Honestly, it seems kind of nice.
Yeah, I would love a pod like that.
Seems decent.
I feel like you know what? That's going to be our stretch goal. If we hit
get a
5,000
Wokey?
patrons, we're gonna get a Wokey for Brian's apartment.
We're gonna go into
You're not putting that in my apartment.
Yeah.
It can go over there.
No. No, it cannot. No, sir.
That's the Hudson River. What you've pointed to is outside the boat on which we record this podcast. You can float alongside it, yeah.
So the big thing that comes out of all of this, right, is that we finally get FaceTime between Boss Baby and Jeff Goldblum.
Yes. He has a Matt Lauer button. He has a button on his desk that locks the door to his office.
Yep.
And he reveals his big plan, which is that he is a baby.
Surprise, he's a baby.
Questionable boss status. He's smarter than the non-boss babies, but he's not. It does not seem to be.
He's not wearing a suit.
A boss baby.
Yeah. He's turned himself into the boss of this school.
He's just super smart.
Right.
Because.
Yeah, he ran away from home.
Right. His parents are child psychologists.
Yep.
Who read 10,000 hours and decided to give him 10,000 hours of NPR.
Yes.
To make him smart.
Yes.
To which there's a reaction of like, oh, I fucking hate NPR.
Yes.
Minus the F word, of course.
It has NPR has turned him mad.
Yes.
It has driven him insane.
But it did make him smart.
But it made him
smart, but that is a bad thing for kids because then they reject their parents.
Right. His whole thing is that he's going to tell everyone
is
now.
stealing our kids away from our churches and our homes, and they're not calling us anymore.
And so Jeff Goldblum is teaching babies to code. Not just here at this school, but at all of the schools around the world.
Because teaching babies to code makes you a lot of money.
So they can, I mean, I did think it was kind of funny how, you know, he brings up the 1,000 monkeys at 1,000 typewriters. And he's like, it's like that idea, but instead I'm making babies code.
Yeah.
And I mean, I will say, I was waiting for them to do some kind of Blurst of Times joke. Or just something like along those lines, but they did not.
Instead, they're just making a bunch of free-to-play, pay-to-win apps.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. One of them is a camera app, and that's going to come up to be very important
The
later.
app Sissy Hypnos You.
Yeah, it literally.
But these apps, this is like a joke that's aimed at middle-aged parents and grandparents because they love their apps. They love playing their little slots.
But it's also the sort of thing, too, where it's trying to have its cake and eat it too, because it wants you to be like, oh, these apps, because everybody's on their fucking phones all the time. But the reality is, of course, that the target audience of this movie, which is to say parents and grandparents who take their kids to this horrible fucking movie, they are the ones who are engaging in that addictive behavior.
They're app-centric people.
It's for us and not for you.
And they're the ones who are reacting to all of those funny jokes about being a latchkey kid and drinking from the hose.
When they said the fucking words latchkey kid,
he's like, I was raised by cartoons. He's just doing the Facebook post that every 50-year-old on Facebook does, where they're like, no one else has thought of this.
Fucking
I drink from
Gen
the hose.
Xers,
I watch the
swear to
cartoons.
God.
I'm out of the house until dark. All of that shit. I'm like, this is not. I don't think it's for young parents. I think it's for grandparents.
Yeah, maybe.
I think this movie is for grandparents specifically.
And did you notice that he always refers to it as the baby revolution, and the first baby we see from around the world is wearing a little communist hat? He's wearing a little Russian hat.
It was the
with hammer and
communist
sickle on
Russians
it.
question mark?
Yeah. So the whole thing is just like, revolutions are bad.
Absolutely.
Am I right?
Absolutely.
It's, we can't overthrow the parents. And it really kind of...
We need to focus on the family, goddammit.
We do! This is just Adventures in Odyssey, the movie! Patrick, you have picked the perfect film for this podcast!
I guess I don't even know what that is.
You can see the fear in his eyes.
I know. I've just really been enjoying, as we amplify over here, Patrick has just been like, oh God, what's happening?
Never learn, Patrick. Never learn that Adventures in Odyssey.
Do not listen to the worst of all possible worlds.
But yeah,
a good thing to say on your podcast.
Yes. I am curious to hear sort of your thoughts, Patrick, on the whole, like, babies learning to code, the apps.
So I should say, I full disclosure for the listeners, we kind of mentioned this briefly, but what really happened was I got fully mixed up about what time we were recording today.
Right.
And I thought I had an extra 3 hours. And then when I realized that I had to just head straight out to get here, I mainlined the movie on the A train.
Right.
Those baby nips.
Yeah, I had watched 15 minutes at home yesterday.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I watched an hour on my phone, and then I got here and I was like, can we put on the last 20 minutes of the movie?
And we did.
And that's how I watched it. And so I don't know if it's because I was just constantly like, okay, how much more is there? Just getting through it really, really fast. Or maybe it's just me not being the host of a podcast that examines all media in the context of what are the maybe unintentional, political subtext about all of this. Yeah. But I was not thinking that much about a lot of this.
And that's the thing, Patrick, is I feel like that is a basic audience experience of watching this movie. You know, I don't think people are watching this going, this is Jordan Peterson's favorite fucking movie.
Right. I was the most I really thought about that was in the sense of especially when the NPR 10,000 hour stuff came up. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, is the movie kind of coming out just against that approach to parenting?
Right.
And then there is the weird stuff about this seems oddly anti-school. To me, it seemed mostly confused about its messaging,
which it absolutely is.
What's interesting about it is a horror movie that has a cult in it, because the cult is always right. It's like you raise your children on the Malcolm Gladwell NPR shit, and it will work. This school does work, and these kids are super smart. It's just that's bad.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but because that's the weird thing where it's Tabitha, the daughter, her big issue in school is just that she's an academic all-star, but then it's in the arts and music is where she's struggling.
She can't handle the fine arts.
And then this little asshole is giving her a hard time because she's off key.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm it is odd because this seems like a nightmarish school environment. Yeah. This would be my hell to have my rank blasted up publicly in front of everybody, right? But she's thriving at it, and which is what's strange.
You know what's
about
kind of funny too is it reminded me of the school that Anya is in Spy Family a little bit. Is this
Spy X Family?
Spy X Family? No, I have not seen it, but
it's a similar kind of vibe where
is that the anime?
It's anime, yeah.
I heard of this for the first time yesterday.
It's a fun show. I think you'd enjoy it. But basically, she is at this school that takes a very similarly rigorous approach, and her whole thing is she has to get these stars that are commendations, and she needs to avoid getting demerits. But because she can't do the thing, which Tabitha is actually able to do very well, the like academic shit, Anya in Spy Family finds herself frequently in a conundrum. But fortunately, she has the ability to read other people's minds.
And so what this boils down to then, there's the anime. What this boils down to then is where we could have the family story, where we could have the metaphor in the same way that the baby is a boss, etc. Like you know what that's supposed to mean, is that we have this disconnect illustrated since the beginning between father and daughter.
Yeah.
And the things that she's interested in, the things that she's good at, and the things that he knows. And this is foreign to him. And we'll talk about just how this gets explored when we come back from our break.
Yes, and before we go, I would just like to set this up a little bit.
Yes.
We're very fortunate because we got our hands on another demo, because it turns out that the Boss Baby Family Business also had a theme song.
Is that right?
Ooh. Yes. And it was very fortunate because we got it from our archives of Dr. Samuel Bolch, DDS, who is
an oral surgeon
on Long Island, who moonlights as a lyricist.
Not is.
Well, was, yes.
Yeah. We got it from the memorial tapes.
We got it from the memorial tapes. Yeah. He tragically passed away. They found his body floating in the sea off Argentina.
Okay.
The letters ALW carved into his chest.
Right.
Rest in peace. We send our respects to the family, and they sent us this demo tape in response. So please enjoy the cut theme from the Boss Baby Family Business.
Babies are forever. They are all I need to boss me. They can hypnotize and toss me. So go give them a whirl. They can also be girl. Don't cross me. Babies are forever. Take this, Baba, and then suck it. Take your grown-up life and chuck it. Be a baby again, date your daughter, and then be happy. I don't need love. For what good would Lord do me? Babies don't need backstory. Babies are forever, twisting all their little nippies, going to schools built by hippies. Old Jeff Goldblum is there, he's a baby, beware his mech suit. I don't need love. To me, baby's got a new pony. When that horse is gone, they'll simmer on. Babies are the bosses, the parents are babies. Bosses are the babies are parents, the babies.
So one thing that I've been thinking about for a while, and that I did have to, I've got to bring it up.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Because it's a thing that I've been thinking about for about 2 years before I saw Boss Baby Family Business.
Oh, okay. So 2 years ago.
Yeah, actually, no. Okay, you know what? Longer than that.
Okay.
I'm thinking back to summer of 2021.
Damn. Okay.
So that summer, I spent a lot of that year shooting this little micro budget movie called Night of the Coconut that
I've heard of this.
AJ is in for one extremely memorable shot.
According to a previous episode of The Worst of All Possible Worlds, there's a secret hidden message in Night of the Coconut that only AJ figured out.
That's right.
And I can neither confirm nor deny.
Sure.
You can't.
Those recordings were obtained illegally.
Exactly. And I do
Over state lines, we're in real trouble.
The very short version is the movie does involve a sinister plot to essentially kind of genocide the human race, involving like everyone staring at screens.
Okay.
And becoming kind of hypnotized and like blood leaking out of like orifices and all of that. And when we were shooting a scene, when people were discussing this sinister plan, there was a line that actually did get cut out of the movie where a character compared it to another sinister plan from some other movie. And then my friend Emma, who works on my videos, who was on set that day, just helping out as a crew member, had recently, because somehow her dad had gotten free tickets to a screening of Boss Baby 2. She'd gone to see it. She went to see it without having seen Boss Baby 1. And she's there on set and she's like, actually, this plot in this movie is a lot closer to the plot of Boss Baby 2. And so on set, we changed the dialogue so that my friend Matt, playing Matt, says, this is actually way more like Boss Baby 2.
Oh my God.
We ended up cutting that out of the movie. We trimmed that. We cut like 4 minutes out of that scene. But it did come up, and so it was brought up on set, and we changed the dialogue right there. And so I was like, oh, apparently this movie we're making has some vague similarities to Boss Baby 2.
My God.
Skip ahead like almost 3 years. I finally see Boss Baby 2. And then we get to the part where all these adults are staring at their phones and stuff, and they're all getting hypnotized and turning into zombies. And I was like, oh yeah, I do see it.
I think the best thing too was that moment. We all got to enjoy it together, Patrick,
watching it with
because
you.
of the fact that you hadn't finished. I'm thinking this was a recording of Destiny, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Truly, there's been a lot of things that have just been aligning really for this. I don't know.
There was an eclipse, an earthquake.
All great signs.
All signs and wonders because this episode was going to be recorded.
That's right.
Hunchbacks dancing, cats and dogs getting married.
It's all been leading to this, folks.
So when we last left off, right, we were sort of at Jeff Goldblum's master plan to get all these babies to code.
Russian and Indian babies. Anyway.
I just love this sentence. Master plan to get all these babies to code.
As you do. And due to the advent...
He's running a startup in West Virginia.
Due to the advent of remote learning and, of course, woke, he's been able to sort of leverage this distributed international workforce to create these very, very addictive mobile applications.
Okay, get this. International woke force.
God damn it. Fuck. Whoa. That's such a good point.
Woke.
Have you considered just like making merch that says that on there?
International woke force? So we're going to consider it now.
Yeah, we are. Wait, you are really good at merchandising, Patrick, so please let us know.
See, guys, some have called me an influencer.
Well, I'm sorry. I just heard air horns.
I forgot to include that in your intro. Noted influencer Patrick Willems.
I know. What am I doing here?
You're specifically a knitwear influencer, and for all of our listeners who maybe own brands that make knitwear,
aspiring knitwear influencer.
No, you're already influencing. You're influencing me right now. I'm going to buy that
I've got to wear more sweaters.
I mean, that sweater, just to sort of
sweater.
Paint a mental picture for our listeners. Patrick
zebra stripe gum?
Fruit stripe,
fruit stripe gum with the zebra that's a rainbow. This sweater reminds you of those sweet 2-second memories of sweetness.
That's true.
Yes.
But it lasts for years, possibly.
Hopefully years.
This is a very fuzzy white sweater with stripes that are horizontal across, both on the torso and on the sleeves, which I love.
And it's almost the whole rainbow, but there's no purple. So it's tastefully, just like Coco Chanel said, just like fascist sympathizer Coco Chanel said. Oh no! You always remove one accessory. So they removed one color from the rainbow. Right. It's very tasteful and not at all fascist.
No,
not at all.
That's another T-shirt. Is not at all fascist.
So the thing I wanted to bring up,
please.
just a simple, quick tangent.
Yes.
Not about knitwear.
Okay.
Or fascism.
Although it could be. Could be.
Okay.
Okay. You guys have merch, I assume.
Yes.
Kind of. Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
T-shirts.
We got T-shirts.
Couple of T-shirts. Yeah. We have
Yeah.
a T-shirt that's pink and it says "So full." It's a quote from everyone's favorite Super Saiyan, Goku.
Yep.
And we have a T-shirt that's the logo of the Worst of All Possible Worlds, and we sell stickers.
In fact, if you go to store.worstpossible.world, you can buy one of them right now if you so desire.
With real money.
If I may pitch you on new ideas,
hit us.
just have shirts that have every woke pun that has come up in this episode
alone.
Yeah, as in have a shirt that says International Woke Force.
Yeah.
What were the other?
The wokey.
The
We gotta have
wokey.
get in the wokey.
Yeah.
And the wokey Shinji.
Get in the wokey Shinji.
Oh, and then down the sleeves it can say "Sail away, sail away, sail away."
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Sleeves though, that costs extra.
It does.
But
Yeah,
here's
but
the
then you charge extra.
but here's the thing too. I feel like the people behind the Boss Baby family business would be particularly litigious. I just kind of get that vibe from this movie.
But does anyone ever say the word wokey or woke force?
but sail away might be a little bit.
That's Enya.
Oh, and Enya doesn't give a shit.
No. It's okay. Enya's from Ireland. I bet she knows my relatives. We'll talk about it.
Oh, good. Okay, all right.
You do all know each other. I mean, you are like that.
Have you been to Ireland? That's what it's like.
Yeah, Enya is also unstuck in time, I feel like. So if we catch her, like the 200 years that she appears.
Right. She's been 45 years old for 30 years.
Internal rhyme in there, AJ.
Nice.
So let's pull it back now to Tim, our protagonist. Tim, he decides that he needs to hang out with his daughter, who is still a child, and he's also a child in this moment. And so he goes up to his wife's car, because his wife is driving said car.
With his adult voice, the voice of her husband,
that's
not
right,
disguised,
and says
the one that said, "I will marry you."
That's right, AJ. And she says,
proposed, yes.
I need a ride home because it's so hard. My name is Marcos Lightspeed.
That's a fun one.
I mean, we all got to give it up for Marcos Lightspeed.
Yeah, honestly.
You know, of all the kids of Imelda Marcos, he's probably doing the best.
Marcos Lightspeed sounds to me like the name of a half-remembered child from Joe Biden's childhood.
Him and Corn Pop.
Who turns out to be totally real.
It's just like Corn Pop is a real man.
Like that is his legal name. Is Marcos Lightspeed. Oh my God.
His nickname was Jim.
But yeah, he by doing his little "I'm a Gen X, drink from the hose" kid, Ava Longoria, his wife, is like, "Oh no, you must be helicopter parented.
Right.
I'm gonna take you home." And this establishes or this follows up on what we've established at the beginning, where he has this disconnect with his daughter.
Right.
His daughter is interested in science, and she knows taxonomy, and she knows the elements and all of this stuff. She's not so big on playing guitar and singing songs.
And this is a problem
telling
for
stories.
her because she's been wrangled into doing the annual holiday pageant at the school. Holiday, not Christmas, because of woke.
They're setting her up to fail.
Yep.
And she's got like the key solo song. And all of this.
She's got the
Also,
fucking
She's got the original song.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Who gave her that role? Who cast her there?
Okay, so here's where things get contentious because there's this group of theater kids who are the fucking worst.
I mean, they're theater kids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Get out of my home by them. What you gonna fucking do? It's a rumble, baby.
This will not work for the listeners, but the way, like, as in, Between me and the door are all three of you.
You cannot leave that couch.
We form a perfect theatrically staged triangle, Patrick, where Brian is the center focus.
We're just, all of us are just, we
I'm doing
became
viewpoints. I'm walking on a grid.
Oh, no.
just
I'm
a
the judge.
phalanx of snapping guys in your way.
Yeah, I'm going to throw myself out this window.
Oh no! But the other thing about these theater kids is that it's so clear the screenwriter had somebody he hated that went to Juilliard.
Yeah, the
Absolutely.
screenwriter Michael McCullers,
Yes.
famously of the Austin Powers sequels.
He fucking went to Yale. Like, come on, guy. Get the fuck out of here.
But what if he wanted to go to Juilliard?
Yeah.
Because Yale also does have a famous theater program.
Well, and
also,
he
this guy
did-
seems like a writer.
Arguably
He
has a
didn't-
better theater program.
The thing is, he did not go to the School of Drama. He got a bachelor's in English language and literature. So he
The reason why I wanted to talk about this relationship with the daughter, why she's so into science, what all of this seems to be setting up in the first 5 minutes of the film is that, like, okay, this is a movie about parenting. And it's a movie where you have a very obvious point where you can make your main character grow. In the same way that he had to learn to accept that there is now another child in the home that's going to split the time of your parents, who also needs to be loved and needs to be taken care of. He's a parent, and and when kids are really little, they just do whatever you do.
Yeah.
Right? You have whatever fun you want to have, whatever book you want to read, whatever colors you want them to wear, all that happens. And then at some point they start to become independent.
Yeah.
And they start to develop interest. They start to start knowing things that you don't know, which is terrifying. And they start to not like the things that you like going to church. But like you as a parent have to figure that out. And we have this moment where he sees her in class and like, my daughter is so smart.
Right.
Yeah.
And I understand why she has these bad feelings around music now. I see how she's being mistreated. I have to grow as a parent, as someone who understands her as an independent human being and connect with her on that level. And it kind of does this for the next scene.
Kind of, but
it stops being about that.
And then it just ends up feeling more like a romantic, comedy again, which is weird because what ends up happening is that Tim and Tabitha go to Tabitha's room and she tries to sing and it's like, oh, you can't sing, kid. Let me teach you how to sing. And he pulls out a guitar and starts playing it. But again, the overtones here are so flirtatious and romantic that it, rather than feeling like that thing of a proud father who is now, having the opportunity to teach his kid a new thing for the first time.
Yeah.
There's too many things going on here.
And also, in addition, I think thematically what would be more interesting is realizing she doesn't want to sing.
Yes.
I'm not going to, it's not that I have to teach her how to sing so that she's good at it and gets more confident in it. It's
and
that
she also really improves at singing.
Yeah,
very quickly. Unbelievable.
And there's no
quickly.
sense of process. Also, the way those kids count the music in the rehearsal is such bullshit. They go 1, 2, 3, and. That's not an and. That is a 4/4 beat. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not a 1, 2, 3, and 4, and and means it's an eighth note.
Well, the
it's not an
writer
eighth
never
note.
got into Juilliard. It's not his fault.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
But there's something to the dad learning to see things as they are. As someone who is lost in imagination to finally see his daughter for who she is. And that is a part of parenting.
He molds her
instead,
further into his image.
But that's the conservative mindset.
Yes.
That's why this movie strikes me as such a conservative film. That the kids' jobs are not to become themselves. Their jobs are to become what you think they should be.
Yeah.
And that's what happens in this movie. And also the film that you described, Brian, where they're he's recognized the independence or whatever, that's a goofy movie and it fucking rocks.
That's true.
But you can even put it into the same plot because the plot essentially has nothing to do with it. It's about taking down a baby that's voiced by Jeff Goldblum. Did we establish that he's a baby?
Yeah, we established he's a baby.
He's in a robot suit.
Yes,
he's in
which is
robot
why
body.
those hands are so long, as I said before.
Okay, also one question. If she is struggling so much with this performance for the
holiday pageant,
and her dad is so accessible and so too ready
clingy
to help with anything.
Yeah.
Why has she never gone to him for help with this?
Right.
Like,
and again, it makes sense if he just can't hear anything besides like, you want to sing a song now? You want to imagine things?
Or like if he's too busy with his own imagination, like stories, like, no, we're not doing that now. We're doing my thing.
Yeah.
Like we're going to babycore.
But
and
they
she's
don't-
like,
but
but
that's
you're
not-
not actually helping me with my thing.
That's not the point that they're making. They
At
could
all.
make him
No.
worse. They should make him worse.
I'm okay. I'm just gonna say, not to be like, let's script doctor
No,
the
let's
whole
fix
movie.
it. Let's fix this movie.
But genuinely, if this is the movie that they want to make, the boss baby should not be in it. It should just be about a parent like connecting with their child.
Yeah.
And then they could, if they dropped Ted,
Right.
then they would just have more time to just focus on that relationship. But it's like halvesies.
Right. But then the thing is, of course, that you can't remove the boss. You cannot remove Alec Baldwin from this movie.
Because then what's it called?
Exactly.
Yeah. Or even if it is just like,
but
what
we have a second baby.
We do have-
It
we have Amy
doesn't
Sedaris.
say the boss Alec. It's just a baby.
That's true. Amy Sedaris could just be the baby. But
Although
again,
if it was called the boss Alec, you could just cast another Alec. You could get Alec Robbins of Mr. Boop.
You
fame.
certainly could.
But can you imagine if the entire first movie was sold on Alec Baldwin is a baby, and they make a sequel, and it's like, yeah, that one thing that everyone showed up for, not that
no, that's
anymore.
exactly right. Like that's the signature character, and he was the one who was used on all of the posters and all of the marketing collateral because that's the image, right? That's the key art. You need it to have the Alec Baldwin baby wearing suspender stockings. And
okay. So the image, spoilers for all you, for the poster for this episode of the podcast is, in fact, that poster they use for advertising.
Oh, nice.
Which is the stocking garters and the babe and the diaper and Alec Baldwin looking like seductively out at you. And I saw this for the first time at 49th Street.
Yeah, it was all over the subways because I remember people talking about it and being so repulsed by it. I wasn't living in the city that year.
Right. But I walked down the stairs and I literally it hit me and I had to stop and I stared at it and someone else walked by me, looked at it, did a double take and went, ew, as it kept walking. And I'm like, who thought this was a good idea?
I mean, it worked, didn't it? It's got us talking about it.
I guess so. I mean, I guess no publicity is bad publicity, but this was bad publicity. Jesus God.
So other than the subplot, which should have been the main plot, but is instead a subplot about Tim and Tabitha,
and one that doesn't have a resolution.
Not really.
No.
The other big piece, of course, is the final conflict with Jeff Goldblum, because Boss Baby and Tina are now planning for this sort of final conflict, and what they're going to do is... Question mark? They're going to go to the pageant and they're going to do something.
Basically, Alec Baldwin's Boss Baby says, we're just going to go and watch it all play out. And I was like, what? You're going to watch what happen?
Because he's been
Amy
seduced.
Sedaris
He's been
is-
seduced by the scheme. He thinks the baby should take over.
Right.
Because he is now a baby again.
Yeah, and so he can take over. But
Considering how much Ted does in the first movie, what an act! Like once he shows up at the house, he has so many plans. He's up to so much stuff. It is weird that Tina is Amy Sedaris.
Yes,
it's weird that her whole role is to just recruit other people to do a mission. She is seemingly a very competent boss baby.
She, in many ways, she might be better at the act of bossing Baby than Ted, frankly.
Yeah.
She's a hell of an
toxic.
administrator.
Yeah.
And all she does is sit there in a seat as like the tech guy.
Yeah, holding an iPad.
She's the guy in the chair in like a heist movie who just scans the security cameras.
And good point, because this is now a heist movie. We do the thing where they talk out their plan and they play in advance what is going to happen during the heist. And certainly no complications will come our way.
None whatsoever.
No, absolutely not. And it is so funny because she's on the poster. She's like there's a separate poster that's not just Alec Baldwin's Boss Baby. That is the two of them.
The two bosses, baby?
Yeah, like back
Which
to back.
also makes
you
you think, here's a fun idea for a Boss Baby sequel. The Boss Baby has to deal with another Boss Baby.
Yeah,
right.
He gets a
And now he's
sister,
not the boss anymore. It's like who is this? It's like the idea that in some company you're like the co-VPs.
And you could even double down on the theme from before about like what it's like to have parental attention split across multiple different kids. But they kind of wrote themselves into a corner with that ending in the first movie.
Wait. Here's a pitch.
Okay,
for the movie they didn't make. So this pitch means nothing now. Wouldn't it be fun if they made multiple Boss Baby sequels?
Okay.
But everyone is still set around the timeline of the first movie, back when Tim and Ted are little toddlers
going on their excellent adventure.
Yeah. But everyone ends with like teasing. In the present, Tina's gonna come along, but then they never actually really make that movie. So they always end the same way.
It just becomes this increasingly complex bit, like next time on Arrested Development, where it just keeps like building this other thing that you will never see.
It's a lost flash forward.
It's the kids on How I Met Your Mother never being able to escape the room.
So maybe then like 5 movies in, and then at some point when they can you imagine if they were like the next movie? We're finally bringing in Tina. And the audience is screaming. There's like, we've been waiting fucking years. It's been 10 years.
The heads, they're posting on the subreddits. They're going hog wild.
You know what? Would have made a whole lot more than 150 worldwide.
That's a really great point. That is a really great point.
I think it's a really great point.
No, because there's also like there's 4 different movies happening simultaneously in this movie.
Yes.
And I think that is definitely like the best version of that subplot. If they wanted to bring back in Baby Core, they want to,
But, the whole thing is we gotta learn a Cat Stevens song. That's what the kids love. That's what their young adult parents love, is the song from Harold and Maude.
Also, isn't it weird that they practice and teach her to sing with not the song that she's going to sing in the pageant?
They also imply that the song that she's going to sing for the pageant is There's No Place Like Home for the Holidays.
Yes. They really did.
Maybe it was going to be, and they couldn't get the rights.
No, she sings it.
She does?
She sings it in the room.
With her weird little fish. That's
the
whole movie should have been about. I love that weird fish.
The fish is cool.
Okay.
Have you heard the other songs in this film? Music licensing budget is not an issue.
Yeah, no, you're right. Once you've got
a Dreamworks film.
They did a time warp.
They got the time warp.
Again, for kids.
Push It by Salt and Peppa makes its appearance.
Right, look, it is a Dreamworks animated movie.
Yeah.
A third of the budget is just the music budget.
Right.
So, no, they just... I don't know why they do the weird little... Have her sing one line from There's No Place Like Home for the Holidays, and then the song that she actually sings is just an original song.
Which sucks, by the way. I'm sorry.
Not a
It's
good
lousy.
song. But it's also like when that song comes on, I was like, this isn't the one that she was practicing.
No.
And if anything, wouldn't it be nice if use the same song, but we hear her do a bad version of it, and so you hear a bit, and then so you get more of a payoff because it's like, oh, we heard this song when she struggled with it.
Now she can do it.
Instead, it's just a new song that no one has ever heard before.
No. And it's not the song by New Song either. She does not sing Christmas Shoes.
Well, it's not even really a Christmas song at all. It doesn't sound
a
like
song about how we all need to hang out together.
It sounds like to me is like peak Bush era patriotic propaganda. It's like divided we united we stand,
Republican pop.
Divided we fall.
This was like what I kept wondering with this song is I'm like, is this just meant to be a song that Jeff Goldblum's evil character wrote that is like part of his propaganda?
Is it diegetic in that way?
But the thing is, it's really only those 2 lines about like divided we fall. But I'm just like, it seems so weird to have a child singing "Divided We Fall" in like an uplifting moment.
Yeah. It's also,
I do like the idea of it being like post 9/11 country rock. Like, I like that. Like, she should sing courtesy of the red, white, and blue.
Yeah. Well,
put a boot in your ass.
If this were set during the time when Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron was released.
That's a really good point.
So what
all
we're
the
saying,
smartphones everyone has are actually just PDAs.
Right.
Oh my God.
They are Palm Pilots and Pocket PCs.
Yeah, because are we at the pageant? Have we reached pageant time?
We're at the pageant.
We're at the She's singing.
Oh, yeah, they're singing.
She's got angel wings.
She's
on top of a 50-foot tree.
Wait, do we want to hear a little bit of this pageant?
No.
Yeah, we should hear the opening of the pageant.
Actually, we do need to hear the opening of this pageant because
fine.
everyone's gotten their butts in the seats. They're all ready for everything to go. Plans are being made, schemes are being foisted, and then the pageant begins. The curtain rises, and this is the first thing we hear.
It's winter time, it's the best time of year. But due to ice caps melting, global warming's here. It feels like summer, the snow has disappeared. It's all our parents' fault, so we're all doomed.
this is kind of dark.
Did the kids just say we're doomed?
What the heck are we watching?
By the way, the grandparents are here. The original
I forgot
parents
about that.
of
Lisa
Baby.
Kudrow. And
So what's going
And Jimmy
on
Kimmel.
here?
Well, the kids are being indoctrinated to hate their parents by believing in the global warming hoax.
Right.
yes. Yep. It's such a PragerU ass joke.
Yes, it is.
Oh
my
the thing is,
God.
it's a funny gag because like they start their Christmas pageant and there's like snowmen and snow-capped mountains and ice flows, and then the snowman melts,
Right.
and
they
the
all
flows
die.
break apart. Like that's really funny.
Well, it's funny. It's
But the context of it is like, what? Again, it's
Right.
like they're trying to do all these weird conservative messages, but they're doing it kind of halfway and burying them under the 50,000 other things they have to get done before they've made an a 1 hour and 40-minute children's animated movie.
And what's strange is that when you get to the thing about like, you know, like global warming and stuff like that, are they trying to indicate that Jeff Goldblum's character does have some good points, but is going about it in the wrong way?
Is it a Marvel thing? Is it like, you know?
Exactly.
Is he Magneto?
Well, no, it's
I don't
it's like a
think so.
terrorist, but they blow up a hospital. Or
I don't
whatever,
think so.
yeah.
I don't think he has any good points from the perspective of this film. I think this is just like children are being indoctrinated to hate their parents and then also not to have children of their own. So you're not going to get any grandchildren.
Oh, sure.
Elderly Hummel figurine loving people who are watching this movie while simultaneously playing your slots on your phone.
Right.
Right.
/ PDA or pocket pussy.
Pocket pussy. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Hold on. I think that's a shirt.
It's got a really good slot machine.
You know what? It's got to be.
Come on.
It's got to be.
It's a Tenga.
It's got to be a shirt with a little pocket on it, and on the pocket it says pocket pussy.
That's a trademarked brand. We can't do that.
Can't do that. Okay. I didn't realize it was a brand. I just thought you were really horny, Brian.
No, AJ. That's
me.
you.
That's me. That's me. You can't
You
put.
can't do Horse Corner 2 and then say I'm horny.
No, you're not.
I've never been horny a day in my life.
Patrick, how you doing?
How you feel, Patrick?
I'm doing great. I'm just going to sip my water quietly.
Same.
I'm a virgin
Oh, what?
and proud of it. Here's my true love waits ring.
That's great.
I'm married to the Lord.
My God. Well, speaking of the Lord,
I did not have a true love waits ring. I just want to make it very clear. I had a true love waits pendant.
Nice. Oh my God. So speaking of true love waits, we see Tabitha ascend to her final form, and I mean that literally because she turns into a Final Fantasy end boss.
Yeah, she's doing like one of the famous Marina Abramovich performance art pieces where she's just like got this giant platform that sort of looks like an extension of her dress.
But it's
under
also like a Christmas tree. It's very.
But it's also like a cake.
It's so tall. I was so concerned for her well-being because she doesn't seem to have any sort of support.
There's no harness.
And kids have fallen off because we've seen all the other religions of the world, I guess, all the other holiday
kind
celebrations.
Of a funny bit, except I couldn't parse the word agnostic when they said it, but they're showing the different holidays, and they're also not naming the religion, they're naming the holidays. Like Diwali, Hanukkah, and then they're like agnostic, and it's just one kid standing there.
And he blows a bubble and the bubble pops.
But again, this is because of woke that they have to show all the different ones, including if you don't believe in anything at all.
Yeah. If only it could just be Christmas.
That's what I'm saying.
Then it would be better.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's
the
we
thing
need
about
a
this-
little Christmas.
Right this very minute.
I mean, the thing
I gotta
is,
buy these shoes for my daddy, please. For my mother, please. I'm sorry.
I feel like this is the only time where I do, I do without wanting to just like become conservative, where I'm just like, yeah, Christmas is cool. Yeah, people can say whatever they want, but I'm gonna say Merry Christmas and not Happy Holidays.
That's right. We're saying Merry Christmas again. Goddammit.
No one's gonna give a shit.
Right.
They'll be fine with it.
Yeah. It is very funny that in the staging of this pageant, it's like, they present every single other holiday and they're like, yeah, sure. Get in the back. Here comes the Christmas tree. And it rises up and it's like, united we stand as long as Christianity is out front.
Yes, I mean,
So
seems
the
to be, doesn't
boss
it?
uncle brother who was not a baby anymore but was a boss as an adult is now a boss baby once more, has been sitting with the boss of the school who is a baby, Jeff Goldblum.
That's right.
And in the booth for this theater, because this has Booths who designed this, a member of the Booth family who famously took advantage of a booth in a theater to kill the president of the United States. One might say the biggest boss of them all. He was very tall.
He was.
So, sorry, I need to breathe. Got lightheaded.
Imagine if someone who had never heard this podcast just heard that clip out of context.
Here's the thing, I might clip it.
That is your Instagram reel right there.
There you go.
So he finds out from Jeff Goldblum that the whole scheme is to use a new app that is a camera. Yeah, good luck getting people to adopt a camera app, but like whatever. It's supposed to be a camera that you use to take pictures of your kids on stage, and that camera sissy hypnos you instantly the moment you take your first picture.
Yeah, there's a lot of slackjaw that starts happening in the audience.
Yes.
Like it's but like the slackjaw happens and the animation is kind of a little laggy. So like the jaw falls before the skin does, and it just kind of looks like they're dolls. It's so fucking
This is a
creepy.
classic, like, we got to get this one out the door, just finish it up and ship it kind of moment.
So
who cares?
So Alec Baldwin, Teddy, has discovered that this is all for the baby revolution plan. Today, they are going to body snatch the adults.
B-Day.
Yes.
And it is B-Day. And
he's a big fan of the Beyonce album.
Yeah.
So
I'm sad they didn't sing.
He's
a Cowboy
now
Carter
running
song.
down to the stage, and because, I don't know, for some reason, Tim has decided that he's going to just be a participant in this pageant and takes his earpiece out because his daughter, the new baby that is the boss baby of this movie, but also not the boss baby of the movie because that's Alec Baldwin.
Right.
She is able to talk to them through this earpiece, and he's just decided that he cares too much about performing, I guess. So Alec Baldwin is running across the stage, and he's got to like pull this lever to like cut the power to everything.
Yeah.
And how is he going to get across the stage? He's getting blocked by the theater kids who say only theater kids allowed. And I guess they don't have a backstage area. I mean, that's how it was when I was in high school too.
Well,
so I get it.
And this is something that really makes no sense. That there becomes a conflict here between Tim and Ted, where Ted is like, we need to stop it. We need to stop the whole thing because if we don't, then there's going to be this horrible, horrible thing. And Tim knows all of this.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no,
he's like, I care too much about my
I want
daughter?
to watch my daughter sing.
Yeah,
But
we
like,
have to let her sing.
You can have your earpiece in for anyway. So the way that Alec Baldwin is able to get across the stage is he literally becomes Jesus H. Again, literally tap dancing Christ.
Yes.
Well, you see,
They have
Jesus
a
Christ.
nativity with a wooden baby, and he jumps in the manger for 1 second and then just tap dances the rest of the way.
Well, you
across
see,
the stage.
the Jesus Christ YouTube was already taken, so he had to put Jesus H. Christ in order to like actually start monetizing.
Absolutely. That just killed Patrick. He's deceased.
A+ joke. AJ, you were redeemed after all those other things you said on this episode.
Every single other thing I've said.
Just as long as AJ, you don't say that H stands for horse, we're in the clear.
I have some bad news for you, Brian.
No. So
Jesus is horse Christ.
really, Jesus is the greatest boss baby of them all.
That's so true.
Oh man,
He delivers gifts to little boys and girls in the Czech Republic.
Jesus does?
The baby Jesus.
baby Jesus?
The like living specter of the Christ child. Yeah, there's a really famous, I don't know, really, I've seen it, video that the Czech like Air Force put out one year where it's like Christmas is coming and Santa Claus is like encroaching on these Germanic traditions just keep moving their way into our pure Slavic country.
Wait, so do they have to marshal the
And
Air
so
Force to shoot Santa down?
Claus is driving his sleigh across and they fucking blow him out of the
awesome.
sky.
I love that.
To make room for baby.
Wait, Brian, I'm so sorry. I have a question. How do the Dutch celebrate Christmas?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, great. We'll just move on then. Oh boy.
Well, let's say there's a group of men.
Don't do this.
And the number changes depending on who you ask.
The Santa Claus figure, his name is Sinterklaas. He's got a really good friend.
Yes.
Don't worry about it.
Their relationship has changed over the years. One could say Santa was maybe once his boss, but not a baby.
Anyway, so it turns out
we hate the Dutch.
The big lever is pulled, but it turns out, oh no, it actually doesn't do anything.
It's the trap lever. So it's actually good that Tim wasn't paying attention, because then he kept from hitting the trap lever. Oh, there's baby ninjas, by the way.
Yeah,
and it is completely unclear whether or not they are bosses.
It's also completely unclear whether they are attempting to deal actual mortal damage. It seems like they are.
They have swords that cut.
Yeah,
really
through they slice
and shurikens too.
Yeah, and then they just get taken down by the creepy girl who's creepy for a second, and then they leave.
And then they throw Ted and Tim back into the Wokey again.
Yeah,
into the Wokey.
There's just so much. There's no more like thematic stuff happening or like relationship stuff. It's all just action, and it's all very involved action.
And the thing in the Wokey is also it then starts like flooding with water.
Yes.
And
they have sabotaged the Wokey.
They're going to drown.
They're drowning them inside the Wokey.
Yeah.
So
and they get out of there because they're tied into the Wokey, and then the water starts rising. And the next time we see them, they're not tied down anymore. Yeah.
Oh.
I'd like to see someone fix up that plot hole. Thank you.
Ding.
Ding. He plays the same rib, but it makes two distinct notes.
I hope someone sure got fired for that blunder.
They get out of the Wokey because they summon Precious to have a pokey in the Wokey, and they get out of it.
Precious is, of course, the
horse.
Yeah.
I was going to try to speak around it, but yes.
You just wanted to talk about this horse.
No, I mean, here's the thing. She's, again, she's the key to the whole thing. Unfortunately. Unfortunately. So she comes and she kicks
she does not
the door
do that
down.
first thing.
No, she arrives.
Come on.
She arrives. She kicks the door down. They escape. And then they go into like this big final boss battle in the main room. There's a giant acorn where the servers are.
On top of a fake tree.
Yep.
Yeah, where it's going to like send out the Sissy Hypno to the whole world. And
because there's also acorn schools all around the world.
Yes.
I will say this. There's a countdown timer to when the pulse goes out that's going to, Sissy Hypno the world.
Yeah.
I appreciated that because it let me know how long was left in the movie.
And turns out much more than you think.
At one point, it's 5 seconds left, and those 5 seconds go down, and it's still going.
Yeah. Who made this timer? Frieza? This is way more than 5 minutes.
So, there's a big boss battle.
Those minutes were just very full.
Oh, yeah, they're just fighting so fast. We're watching in slow motion. They are talking. They're standing around and talking. You slowed that part down, too?
No. Minutes in Dragon Ball are very full, Brian.
So, Jeff Goldblum shows back up, right?
Yes.
And he's in the full mech suit.
Yeah.
But Tina and Tabitha have commandeered his other suit, his leisure suit.
The Gru suit.
Yeah.
What I think is important about his suits are that they're all just like identical robot bodies, but they have different clothing on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so really, instead of just changing his clothing, he has fully different robot bodies.
But then he also wears smaller versions of those same clothes underneath on his actual baby.
He does.
body.
I mean, I will say, I think, one positive thing I'll say about the movie is I think the mech suit idea is kind of fun, and I think Tina piloting the other mech suit is like a fun visual.
I agree.
I like it when
Conceptually, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I like it when like the clothing gets ripped off, and you just see her there with like the controls.
The Rock'em Sock'em robots.
But again, conceptually, yes. In execution, I would argue not so much. Because the problem with a lot of the animation in this movie, and especially in the action sequences, is that I don't know what the storyboarding process looked like for this shit, but like it's so unclear what is actually happening at any given time.
They keep cutting back and forth between a whole bunch of different places. They even at one point cut to Baby Core, but we haven't seen Baby Core for most of the movie. So I was like, why are all these Among Us monsters?
They have these weird like masks on for some reason because of woke.
No, because it was easier to animate. They didn't have to do baby faces. They could just do little drones.
I also just realized who Jeff Goldblum looks like. Dr. Elephant from Astro Boy.
Yeah, that's exactly
that must be what they were trying to base him off of.
I guess so. Oh, that's wild.
He's Dr. Elephant wearing Gru's clothes.
Yeah.
Shit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, totally.
So interesting.
I will say, I think a thing that I thought was fun was the way that... What's Jeff Goldblum's name again?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. The way, because he's in a robot body, he's able to just kind of like pop lollipops out of his sleeves.
Yeah. Yeah, like they're twin blades.
I was gonna say as if they're like Travis Bickle's like gun thing.
Oh hell yeah!
But I like the way that he just uses lollipops to like stick people to surfaces to get them out of his way.
These are conceptually fun ideas. Like every once in a while, you'll see something like that where it's like, oh, they could have really done something with this. And these feel to me...
It's something you'd see in a 1930s like Fleischer cartoon about babies.
Yes.
And these feel to me like moments where somebody had an idea and they were able to execute on that idea in the context of this small little thing. Yeah. And it stayed in because the overarching direction for this movie is basically non-existent.
Yeah. There's a bit after Tabitha stops singing where the whole crowd is just silent because they've all been, hypnoed.
Right.
And she looks down at the chair where her dad should be, and her dad isn't there, and she starts to cry, and she like walks down the steps. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Yeah. Right, we're seeing actual human emotion here. She's gonna confront her dad and be like, you weren't there. There's gonna be a conflict here. But no, it was immediately resolved because Tina comes up and is like, oh hey, by the way, dad's been a kid this whole time.
Also, I talk.
Also, I talk. And here's the whole thing.
And then she's like, oh yeah, dad told me all the Boss Baby stories because he didn't forget them as an adult.
Right.
He was Tobey Maguire earlier. We'll forget about that. But like, yeah, all the Boss Baby stories are real. Okay, I understand everything now.
So wait, okay, so the more we talk about this, the more I'm thinking that this movie was written in 1 week. And suddenly they gave, I can't remember the writer's name, they gave the co-writer of...
Michael McCullers.
Noted Yale graduate, Michael McCullers.
Yes, the man who co-created Fat Bastard.
Yeah.
It's like they suddenly gave him like a 1 week deadline and it was like, you got to get this thing out now. We're moving forward. And at that time, he was maybe... and he's like, okay, well, I'm panicking. What do I do?
This guy's like on a Caribbean island, neck deep in pussy, and then like,
no, I think, he rightfully should be, but I think that at that time maybe he was feeling a little bummed because he had like, wasn't as close to like his adult sibling as he used to be, and maybe he was, wondering if he was like a good parent and struggling with that with his kid, and it's just like, I know this is a kids movie, but what if I just put all of these middle-aged adult anxieties into it and crank this thing out in a week, and there's your movie.
But that's the thing is that Pixar does that shit all the time.
Yeah, you can do that.
You can do that.
Well, they put in like, those anxieties and stuff like that, but then Pixar, they will then like rewrite the movie a trillion times.
Right, in order to refine it. This was written, as you said, in 1 week.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, typically the Dreamworks process does involve heavy rewriting, but maybe not anymore. I don't know, maybe not since COVID or maybe not for Boss Baby because they just have to shit it out.
I feel like this movie, because on the Wikipedia article for this movie, they do say that obviously it was produced like during lockdown with everyone working remotely. Yeah. This is what happens when you go to remote work.
Yeah.
Because without everyone being there in the office with a director to look over their shoulders and see what they're doing,
instead of a masterpiece like Boss Baby, you get this piece of shit like Boss Baby too.
Okay, but I think like speaking non-facetiously, that is a really interesting point. That like the shift to distributed work went really well for some companies and really not well for others.
To be clear, I have maybe this movie would be the exact same.
It might. Who knows?
I'm just being stupid.
No, I actually don't think it's stupid. I think that that's like a really interesting point because you saw this in a lot of games too that were like began development before the pandemic and then continued during. Yeah, where some of those games ended up doing really, really well.
And some of those games were already remote,
Yeah, it's like, some of those games were Pentiment, But there were other games that were being developed over a longer period of time in a more traditional environment where I think they did use this sort of like oversight culture as a replacement for actual, I don't know, just empowering people to do their best work. And so you end up with this really strange, like designed by committee sort of feel where things don't cohere.
Yeah, and with animation, I've a great movie to watch for examples. You have to bootleg it because it was never released officially. But if you ever watch The Sweatbox, about the creation of The Emperor's New Groove, that's about Disney's process in the 90s. But if you watch behind the scenes stuff of various DreamWorks movies, the Shrek sequels, and going forward in time, you'll see that a big part of the process is individual people coming and pitching a scene. You know, and it's an animator, it's a storyboard artist working on this, and they make an animatic or they make a storyboard, and then they're standing in front of people and they're acting out the roles and they're telling how the scene goes. And you can watch special features for older DreamWorks movies where they're talking about scenes that don't end up anywhere near the final product.
And this is common throughout animation. This is very normal. There's a really fun video of J.G. Quintel doing the storyboard for the very first episode of Regular Show.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I would recommend anybody watch it.
And that's why for Shrek 1, for instance, Chris Farley had recorded a full movie's worth of dialogue, but then they recast him as Mike Myers because it still underwent significant rewrites.
And then Mike Myers recorded his voice, and then after decided to do that he wanted to do it Scottish, and they had to redo the whole movie and spend millions of dollars to redo it to fit the Scottish accent.
Which process? It's about process, and maybe maybe DreamWorks now just isn't like that. Maybe the pandemic got rid of that ability to do that iterative process. Who knows?
But to go back to the thing earlier about Jeff Goldblum's character, I have to imagine that if they were still following the Shrek-like process, that once he turned in those lines, they would have taken one look at the animatics and being like, we're going to just have to redo this whole fucking thing.
Well, and it's also, I mean, you think about Aladdin and how much they matched all the genie stuff to Robin Williams and his riffs, and how you watch it, like that's exactly what Robin Williams would look like as a giant blue man.
It's like, it's just weird. Like the more I think about this, that like they never are gonna clarify if Jeff Goldblum is a boss baby, if he comes from Baby Corps, because also that seems like another kind of obvious plot for a movie where it's like, oh, what about
he's rebelled against it?
A boss baby who goes bad,
a defector.
Wait, what if it was just called the bad boss baby?
Well, and it's also like the way he gets the last thing that they're able to do to sort of clear him out is they take him down with Mentos and soda.
Right.
Yeah, because they do show at the beginning that there is a volcano that he makes using Mentos.
Which, by the way,
they barely it's something that you'd want to factor into the story, maybe just a little bit more at the beginning to make you think about sort of a Chekhov's Mento.
It doesn't come up until the very end. Also kind of funny to me that they did license the Mentos logo, but they did not license Diet Coke, which is the other thing that you need for
That's
that.
some fucking Sam's Club right there.
Weird. You're drinking that and going, fine. You know,
that's what I do when I drink most things.
And so
because of the depression.
Oh no!
But Brian is literally drinking a Diet Coke right now.
It's true.
It's
little does he know I put a Mentos in it. So he's taken down. Jeff Goldblum loses. Surprise, surprise. But not before the spell wears off.
Right.
We get the formula wears off, and we get them transforming back into their older selves. And here is this is a sticking point, but I'm going to make an argument that this formula does not actually change them biologically. What it is a time magic formula.
Okay.
And the reason I say this is because as they get older, they grow facial hair, and then the facial hair goes away.
There's this weird.
It's not like they end up being their own age.
Because it's like
long
it's like
hair.
when he was 20,
that goes away.
Yeah, and he has a mustache.
It's like when he was 20,
away.
he had a mustache. He doesn't have the mustache anymore.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Also, Alec Baldwin does a teenage voice for teenage version of himself. His voice never changes at any other point, but here he's like, it's the awkward phase.
Yeah, it's...
It also seems to be a lot of first takes. I know this is going to be a little bit mean, but there's a lot of Amy Sedaris' peaking in this. It's just like, it sounds like, it's like they just couldn't get another take of things. They're just like, I don't know, no one's going to notice.
I don't know why they're not recording with 32-bit float audio.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not that expensive.
You got to come to Brian's houseboat.
And we have another point where they're trying to take down the servers, and so they decide to use the sprinkler system, which, hey kids, wouldn't it be fun to pull the fire alarm? This is a movie that identified every single intrusive thought you have as a small child. Here's that colorful thing I want to pull on. Here's the handbrake.
I think that's kind of fun, but again, it's.
If I were a parent, I would be like, oh no.
Yeah.
My kid's gonna want to do the fun thing from the movie now.
This is very funny because you were talking with concern as if you are a parent of small children.
Yeah. Look, I care about other parents. It's wrong to have empathy.
Brian has joined Concerned Women for America.
Yes. I've also joined Bothered About Dungeons and Dragons. We're gonna get that satanic shit out of our kids' schools.
There we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, they as the they re-age back into the adult versions of themselves. Tabitha has a moment that she shares with her dad where now she has realized that it's her dad and she still has a crush on him. Don't like it. Don't like it at all.
Don't care
Very
for
bad.
it. Hate it.
And we then get a last scene with the whole family where they're celebrating Christmas together.
A weird fake out where Uncle Baby is not there.
And it seems like he's done the same thing he used to do, which is like, here's a bunch of expensive gifts. I can't make it.
He was just there yesterday, but he has left off screen. Instead of just having him be there, we just need the one little complication of him leaving a lavish gift and then they're throwing snowballs.
It would also be this movie at like, I know that like at 10 minutes of this is credits, but like an hour 47 is too long for this movie.
Absolutely. This movie feels like decades.
Which again,
I will say, when you're just frantically trying to like hoping it will finish by the time the summer ends. Yeah, I mean, like I was constantly aware of where I was in the movie.
Right.
I was like, I wish it went faster. But like if like you'd think they'd be looking to like maybe trim some fat. And I'm just like, simplest thing.
Yeah.
There's a knock on the door on Christmas Day. Tim opens the door. Ted is there. And it's very nice.
Or just Ted is already there. They're, watching the daughter sing like they're doing. They take the picture and then they run out and throw snowballs at each other.
I think because they did already make such a point about him like not showing up to things, having him at the door would like really underline that. And it's still what they're trying to do.
You could even keep the thing where Tim gets hit in the face by a snowball. Knock, knock, open up. Here's a snowball in the face. Hey, it's me. It's Ted.
Exactly.
Hey,
Leslie. But they added on an extra minute.
Just to read a whole letter. Also, there's like this joke about like old people sure love to take pictures of their grandkids a lot, and it's a bad thing. And like he gets his phone. He did get Sissy hypnoed, but grandfather Jimmy Kimmel, grandfather husband Kimmel, gets his phone knocked out of his hand by wife Kudrow.
Yes,
and then he pulls out his old like rangefinder with a flash bulb.
Yeah,
the parents won't understand that joke. We didn't have flash bulbs growing up, and we're old as shit.
We drank from the hose.
We had xenon strobes, motherfucker.
Patrick, I do love that the ending that you've pitched for this movie is the ending of Paddington 2.
If you're gonna steal from the best.
Yeah, you know what? That's true.
Everyone is like, we're gonna throw snowballs. We see the reflection of Alec Baldwin as baby in the window.
That's
just to
so
be like,
weird.
remember he's a baby.
And it's also Tim as like his younger self running by.
It's like, no, we got it because they were just that 5 minutes ago. Yeah,
but also like, are the people inside seeing them as that? Like, does this like time juice have like different like
so
powers?
Everyone's running outside, and as we remember, the Skinamarink phone is the hotline over to Baby Corp.
Right.
Yeah, Baby Core.
And Amy Sedaris, the boss baby, who is still a baby, remains a baby, the boss daughter, she runs out. She's like, I'm not going to worry about it. But then Ava Longoria, the boss adult dad kid's wife, is an adult boss baby, it turns out. She picks up the phone, and none of the boss babies, boss adults, boss adjacent adults, or boss adjacent non-baby, non-boss children know about this.
This is your Ozymandias speech.
I just did one last week, too.
So proud of you, Brian.
I can't keep being Ozymandias.
But you're blonde.
Like, I'm looking on my own works and despairing right now.
That's true.
I
am a vast and single trunkless leg. I have no fucking trunk. There are travelers from antique lands walking by me all the fucking time.
He's doing this off the dome, listeners. He's not looking at the pole.
The falcon is not seeing any falconers. The centers are holding quite well.
Oh, okay, nice. Especially in this movie, the center is holding quite well.
What's another poem I know?
Yeah, so that's the big cliffhanger, right? Ava Longoria like knows about the world, and then also there is
or
one
she
more.
Might just be like, "Am I going crazy? Why is this phone talking to Tina?"
Yeah, I guess.
I thought it was for her. I thought that's what the last call thing was supposed to be. Is that the call was
or
for
maybe
Ava
it's that
Longoria.
she's discovered the world. She's entering the world of the boss baby.
Or they're just all getting Skinamarinked.
Could be.
It could just be that this is the prequel to Skinamarink.
It's the next shot is just the house upside down. No doors. But the actual
subtitled mumble.
We think that's the end of the film, but no, in fact, there is one final beat, which is that we go to the home of Jeff Goldblum as baby,
right?
And then he meets Wallace Shawn, and I guess the woman is also there.
This is a failure. This is a huge failure to give him a bindle. He should have shown up at a bindle with a bindle. But also, where does Baby Goldblum's family live? Where do these parents live?
In New York,
City.
right?
In New York
Brooklyn.
City. They're child psychologists from New York City.
Brian
You've
has
been
gotten
watching
out of his chair,
Adventures
literally.
in Odyssey this whole time. It's all jazz and Regis Blackguard, baby. And now, Patrick, you get to become a Southern Baptist.
You know, this podcast is a lot different recording in person.
I had COVID last time you recorded. I had way less energy.
Yes.
And I don't think I transformed into Richard Nixon then.
Yeah, that was exciting.
You were doing a real, like, wide stance.
Yeah.
Low center of gravity.
I had to stay low because I wasn't going to move my microphone.
You've never seen Brian in spider form before?
Yeah.
It's lovely to behold when you see it.
Patrick, any sort of last thoughts here about the Boss Baby, about whatever the hell Brian just did, about anything else, really?
Yeah, I feel like my big takeaway is I went into this movie really hoping that I would get like a whole lot of new lore about Baby Core.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
Sure.
I like one of the things that I, in a weird way, appreciated about the first movie is that there was so much more lore, so many more rules than I ever would have imagined. It was so much more dense and confusing. And this movie, despite being messy and frantic, did not go as deep with the weird Boss Baby lore, and so I think will be less interesting to tell people about.
Sure.
This will not make for good stories at parties where I go,
yeah.
you guys want to know how the Boss Baby world works?
Let me tell you.
Yeah. So all the stuff.
It did throw one new thing at us about Baby Core, where if you're an adult, you sort of sit halfway through the floor.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty fun.
Like whenever you're on an elevator, because the elevators are too small, and then eventually, just like in a video game, you'll stop clipping through and eventually like get on top of the ground. That's the one
that was
piece.
Fun, but yeah, I'm just
it's just not enough for you.
It's bewildering.
Right, exactly. I'm just, if anything, I'm left with more questions after this movie.
Yeah. Well, they're all going to be answered in the third one.
That's right.
Which has been greenlit.
Yes.
And is apparently coming out next year at some
Bring
point.
him home.
Who's him? Who is him?
There are many questions yet to be answered.
Check Jesus Santa.
Oh, check Jesus. The Christ
Jesus.
child.
The Christ child. Bring him home.
What Jesus? Remember, Jesus does exist in the Boss Baby universe. In the first one, they talk about the birth of Jesus.
They have the nativity.
So just to check,
Yeah.
I'm assuming I am obligated to come back for Boss Baby 3.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have no say in the matter.
What if you came back and we talked about something else? Something that would make you less scared of me because of how angry I get.
Wait, so you're not like this every time?
Am I
Patrick, all I'll say is you better hope there's not a horse in the third one.
That's your fault. That's all you.
That is me.
Patrick, if people want to follow you all around the web and get more cool shit from you, what should they do? Because this has been truly delightful, and I imagine many of our listeners will seek to follow you if they are not already familiar with your work.
I hope so. That would be nice. Well, usually I talk about movies, but it's like scripted and so more eloquent and, you know, not short, but shorter than this. And you can watch the videos that I make on YouTube or Nebula. And
awesome.
And I have a silly little movie that's also on Nebula that AJ appears in one shot of delivering a mouthful of dialogue.
It's very lovely. I had such a blast.
He's so
shooting
good
that.
at that.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, thanks, guys. But I will also say, if you want to hear Patrick in the podcast sphere, you've been making the rounds lately. There's a 3.5 hour podcast on Minority Report that I listened to. Over the last.
That is true. Is that shorter than this one? Or longer
that is
than
we are only at 2 hours and 40 minutes right now, and this will be
240.
Yeah, there'll be cuts to that. But also to hear you talk about video games, because I didn't know you were a video game guy.
I'm not.
He's not a video game.
I basically haven't played video games in in the past 12 years. I have played 2 video games in full.
Okay.
I've completed 2 video games. Yeah. So I used to be more of a video game guy.
Yeah.
But I was on Something Rotten talking about
one of my favorite
Solid
podcasts.
2.
So go check that out too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So links for all of that down in the notes. Additionally, if you've enjoyed this episode and would like to hear more of the Worst of All Possible Worlds, You can get a hold of our entire back catalog of premium episodes at patreon.com/worstofall. And like I said, it's $5 a month. Did I say that it's $5 a month? I just did.
You're saying it again. It's always good to repeat things on podcasts.
How much is it?
$5 per month.
Good deal.
Pretty good deal.
That's a good deal. That's a good deal.
And also for $10 a month, you can also get access to Lads Cast, which we do once a month. We basically just start rolling and we talk about whatever's on our mind. This month, I think we're going to be talking a bit about the eclipse.
We're going to talk about the eclipse and also about the making of a certain conversion arc montage. If you don't know what we're talking about, listen to the episode that just came before this one. It seems like it has inspired a lot of discussion on the comments. So yeah, we'll get into the nitty gritty, and we'll also get into how I even got Patrick on board for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which was mostly just I sent him an email.
Yeah.
I just sent him an email, and he was very friendly.
So I'd like to wrap up today by asking you all just one very simple question.
Sure.
I know what's coming.
Who's the boss?
Yeah.
Whose boss are they?
Are these bosses babying?
Who's the boss, Brian?
It's Tony Danza.
I'm the worst of all possible AJs.
I'm the worst of all possible Brians.
And I'm the worst of all possible Joshes. See you next week.